The Survivor Specialists, Phil and Will, are back, and the busiest offseason of our entire careers is now behind us as we are now jumping into Survivor 46. The cast has officially been announced. I know that it has been all over the internet anyway. You could go find it inside Survivor. And then also on top of that, we had all of the casting videos coming out for a lot of these players. But we like to wait till it's official so we can see what they look like in their full body shots and get their bios. So we have all of that. We can go and base our predictions and everything off of the 1 minute videos that we saw for each of them. And I even made
it used to be
I made
2
a PowerPoint.
minutes.
I made a PowerPoint.
Ooh,
I made
a PowerPoint.
Well, some of those videos back in the day used to be 3.5 minutes. It wasn't just 1, 2 minutes. It was, some of those were really long. And then Jeff also did an entire cast assessment that was like 5.5, 6 minutes long, where he would talk about the entire cast of the season. So yeah, it's a little surprising that we're down to 1 minute, although in past years, it's pretty much what we're at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, how has it been doing cast assessments in the new era? This is obviously my first time back doing a cast assessment since, I guess, 34, which was a little different because we got the returnees, we knew who they were, but I haven't done a newbie casting assessment since season 33.
Season 33. I know. Season 33. And I think one of the last videos we did together was before your big break was the season 34 Game Changers predictions for how each player would do or something like that. And it wasn't even a cast assessment. It was when they had released originally who were like,
I remember they released it originally and we were very confused. And I think we did like a 90-minute episode on like, why do we have this random ass group of people?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we did some other preseason stuff, but yeah, that was it. So I'm ready. Let's start judging people based on absolutely no information. This is always fun.
It truly is one of the best times of the year because Gabby, I think it was Gabby posted it today. She said, just remember to all the new players, make sure you take everything that anybody says about you in a discussion board very, very personally and let it affect your life. Because it is 24 hours, 48 hours of just extreme. People are really excited and people are really down. And that is the beauty of the Survivor community, right? It's just pure chaos while we announce the Survivor 46 cast. So I'm excited for this.
This is going to be bizarre, just like watching a Survivor season and like going back to like having done a lot of research and reading, all the interviews and videos and stuff, and just knowing a little bit more about these players even before, because throughout the whole new era, I've been very clear with this. I just turned on the premiere on Wednesday night whenever it came out, knowing absolutely nothing, doing no fantasy games, doing no boot list stuff, no assessments of anything. Just let's meet them on TV for the first time and see and just go from there. So I'm actually excited to see how it will affect my enjoyability of the season.
Yeah, I'm curious how you're going to have a different approach to this season because we've been podcasting the traders this offseason. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. And it's been nice to kind of get back into Will's mindset on reality TV in certain games. But it will be fun to see how your opinion on Survivor has changed now over 10, 12 seasons since you've actually podcasted a season with me and done it on this channel, and how your viewing of these recent seasons will change everything for you, or if it will change anything for you. It's not the same Will as season 30. That's for sure.
No, not at all. And right now I'm doing a rewatch of the new era over on our Patreon. So if you want to become a patron, I'm not recapping every episode. I'm grouping together episodes and I'm looking at it from, what is defining the new era? What are the biggest, I'm kind of calling them, landed on this phrase, new era isms, which that's not a great thing to say, but that's kind of where I'm at with it, and just kind of breaking down everything new, what's working, what's not working, all that. So if you want to check that out on the Patreon, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and for patrons, so we have 3 different tiers of patronage, and we've really revamped it this year. In the month of January, if you were a top tier patron, you got 30 podcasts. So if this is the first you're listening to us since December, if you didn't follow along with us in January while we were doing some other stuff, our Patreon is really big right now. And if you become a $20 patron as well, you can partake in the fantasy game and the power rankings game, which are 2 games that we do that are specifically for $20 patrons. Those are in addition to whatever preseason entertainment we are going to bring your way. Will and I will discuss that a little bit more thoroughly and then get out a schedule so people can follow along. But you're going to get my after show once the season begins and all of that. But right now we have a whole bunch of stuff going on at all the different
It's
tiers.
honestly too long to mention all the
It's a lot.
Patreon shows that it's like I don't even think we need to say everything because we'd be here for 2 minutes listing off all of it. So I think we just hop in and start assessing this cast. I'm very excited to see your PowerPoint, Phil.
You're really excited for my PowerPoint. Okay.
I'm hoping it has not just like a photo in that it has like, oh, where are they from?
Oh, it doesn't
like,
have any of that. You got
what's their occupation?
No.
No? Where am I going to get all that info?
There's a man named Michael Bloom who writes for Parade. Yeah, you're gonna go to Mike Bloom's stuff and you're gonna get it off Parade because that's where I'm getting it from too. I have that open in another tab right now. Look, Will, just be happy that I got the images of these people up. Okay, that's what we should be excited about right now. That's the big move for this season. So I did break them up by tribe. And then I have 9 slides of people. So there'll be a man and a woman on each slide. So we can kind of just talk about them. But don't worry, it's broken up by tribe. So we can do that. So we're beginning. And we're about to move over to the left. So don't get scared. We're beginning with the Nami tribe. This is the orange tribe. 6 people on this tribe. There they are. If you're watching the video, you can see them now. There they are standing there. They have, I think, the tallest person on the season, which is Hunter. So they do have that working in their favor. Will, before we start.
Oh,
I was just going to say, before we start breaking them down individually, what do you think about how they look as a unit here?
I'm pretty over the purple, orange, green being pretty much every other season. I got to say that. 45. Did they just do red, yellow, blue, or did they mix it? They mixed it up a little bit. It felt like.
What were the 45 tribes? 45 tribes.
I know it was red. Yeah, I think they just did red, yellow, blue.
It was blue, red, and yellow. Yep.
So those are your primary colors, and then these are the secondary colors.
And they just go back and forth.
I'd wish we get some crazy colors. I don't know why. So that's kind of a disappointment. Just starting off. But I got some very like Ted Lasso-y vibes from Hunter. In the 1 minute I saw him. Again, I wish you had put, way more work and time to this PowerPoint so I could like see everyone's age and where they're from and their occupation. But yeah, I mean, the guys looks like they're not going to get their asses kicked in challenges. I think the women might be able to hold their own too. So I don't know. I'm feeling good about the tribe. I don't know. What do you usually say at this stage? I don't know if we ever done this where we just stare at.
I just put you on the spot. That's it.
I
just put you on the spot to see what you have to say. So here we go. We'll go to slide number 2. So I got Randon and Venus as the first 2 people we're going to talk about. And then since I don't have their ages, I don't have their names, I don't have any of that. But Mike Bloom did all that work. They fly the man to Fiji for a reason.
Wow, I'm going to trust a transparent background.
Yeah, it's great.
Or did you try to match it?
No, I didn't try to match it.
It looks like you did try to match it.
I didn't try to match it. I literally didn't. It's the exact same background, except in a PowerPoint. That's it. It's the exact same background.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good.
It doesn't seem like you believe that. All right, we're going to start with Randon Montalvo. And this is just another iteration of Brandon that is not Brandon. I don't know if I know you probably didn't see it, but there was the meme today that Brando put out of Brando, Brandon, and Randon, all linking hands. And now we have like every iteration of this name that we
so it's Brandon, Brando, and then we have Randon. Was there 2 Brandons?
I think there's with an I, Brandon that is also spelled with an E.
Yes. And then didn't we have a Brendan?
And we have Brendan's. There is a Brant Steele right now of Kelly's versus Brandon's. And it's like Brendan's and Brandon's versus Kelly's. And there are officially Randon's. 2 tribes of 10. Yeah. And Randon and Brando. It's 2 tribes of 10 officially.
Okay. I like that.
It's exciting times.
So Phil, tell me about Randon.
I'm going to right now. He's 41 years old. He is from Brooklyn, New York. He lives in Orlando now, and he's an aerospace tech, which probably means he has something to do with Embry-Riddle down here. 3 of his favorite hobbies are running, endurance, marathons, sports cars, and extreme rides /sports. Three adjectives that best describe him are analytical, persistent, and passionate. He did not say passionate, though. He said passion. So analytical, persistent, and passion. How would your friends describe you? Relentless. What risks have you taken in your life to make a change for the better, even if the outcome wasn't planned? Moved to another state, decided to start a family, and join the military while in an existing career to create a foundation for his children. What is something we would never know by just looking at him? His favorite people that he would like to meet beyond Jeff would be Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku. And what Survivor player would he play?
What was that last one?
I probably said it wrong. Michio Kaku?
I don't know who that is. I thought you said Kaku, which is one of my favorite restaurants. If you know, you know.
I don't. Michio Kaku is a American physicist and science writer, so he's big into that. I mean, that makes sense, right? He's a aeronautical guy. What Survivor would he most want to play the game like? Well, if you guys were wondering what we were doing before this, you can go check out our New Era podcast, because Will was all over this person, and that is Xander. He wants to play the game most like Xander. And then I did take a screenshot because it was going to be too much to have all of these different things going on right now. But I did take a screenshot and send it to you, Will, of what. Thanks for, I'm catching up on your text now. That's nice. But so Mike Bloom also said, what are your hot takes for Survivor? And Randon's hot take was Carolyn deserved to win. Now that I've given you every bit of information you could ever possibly ask for about this man, can you make a statement about him, or should I have typed it all out because I didn't do enough work for you?
No, I think, I was supporting Xander to be on the ballot of our second chances too. New era versus the old school or the old era, to not make people angry. And I thought Xander was someone who deserved a second chance because he was so young, 0 vote finalist and all that. And I think it fit with the theme. We didn't have a lot of people from 41. But to come out and be like, I want to play like Xander and base my game off of Xander, the guy who got no votes, I don't think that's a very good move. I got to say, Randon, I don't think you want to play like Xander. So that's kind of a red flag for me. Even though I am a fan of Xander's and wanted to see him on second chance too. We have a lot of people this season that seem to have kids. It seems like we have a lot of people that are like between 30 and 40. So somewhere in their 30s. That was an easier way of saying that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And they have kids and they're all about playing for their family and they want a better life for their family, which is great motivation. But now that we got this one word to describe himself, or what would be one word to describe you? I don't know what the question was, but it was relentless. I could see this Randon playing way too hard. And Xander was a flashy player. He had the first ever knowledge is power, one of the best twists ever introduced in the game. If you want to know why, watch the New Era on the New Era rewatch on Patreon. But he feels to me like he's coming to play hard. He's playing for his family, better life for his kids. Is thinking that he wants to play like Xander. Again, very flashy, a lot of advantages. Xander he had the beware stuff. He got some from a journey early on. And I just feel like he's going to come in. The New Era throws a lot at you. I think he's going to embrace it. He's the guy that's saying, send me out on the journey. I want to go. I'm risking my vote. That's the vibe I get from Randon. And I don't necessarily think that we've seen that kind of play out on the New Era seasons, where the hardest, most, present front-running players usually don't tend to win.
Yeah, his daughter said that she thinks he'll be the first one voted out, and that she's going to throw a party for him of being the first one voted out.
That's right.
And he worked hard not to struggle. That's like his big story, right? Is that he worked hard not to struggle. And that's something that is definitely prevalent with a lot of these players. It seems like these players...
This cast went through it, man. I feel bad for this cast.
They're all underdogs, right? Like there's nobody who started off as like a multimillionaire. And, there's been plenty of Survivor players in the past who have started that way. And we're not seeing that anymore. And, I talk about this a lot, how I'm all about this type of casting. I mean, if it's going to work, it's going to work. But I do feel like sometimes with the underdog, you want to have the top dog too, right? Like you want to have that person who has had the silver spoon their entire life.
Yeah, or not even a silver spoon, but like not that maybe just didn't have a really, really difficult upbringing. I think that's okay. Yeah. Like it seems like so many players here, they were like, my parents were both, struggling with addiction. I feel like we heard that you could name probably 3 or 4 players, maybe more, or that I wasn't liked, I was picked on. Which this is a heavy theme of the new era and the people that they're casting. But I keep saying it all the time, these casts, they blend together, they feel homogenous. Even though we have a lot of diversity in other ways, it seems like they're all motivated by the same things. They're super fans, and it's just a very specific type of person. And it feels like, this cast overall has landed in kind of this new era bucket. I mean, we used to have tribes called the Beauty Tribe that were just like a bunch of hot people. And they were, if you're that good looking, you usually have a leg up in a lot of aspects of life. And not that there aren't any good looking people on this season, but to have, and those 2 seasons were very, very good. 28 and 32 are probably 2 seasons in my top 15, Phil, probably your top 10. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So it's not like pretty people can't make good TV, but that was obviously balanced out by, a brains tribe who were maybe the more nerdy people and the people that didn't really fit in. And then you have the blue collar, like Americana hardworking people, which I don't even feel like we have any blue collar. It doesn't feel like it, at least. It's a lot of software technicians, IT, or, we have a law student, speakers. So it does feel very white collary also. I don't know. That's just the overall vibe. But for me, if I had to give you just a feeling on Randon, if he's like a pre-merge or post-merge player, he feels to me like a pre-merge player.
Interesting. Okay. And I do like that you were talking about like, oh, you don't necessarily get like the hottest people, as we're staring at a picture of Venus right here on the other side of our screen next to Randon. And I will say this is where I come from with this is it used to be really hot people like Morgan who would say, yeah, my life's been easy because I'm hot. It used to be that kind, right? Not every single person had a really, really deep underdog story built into everything else that was going on, which it's fine if it's there. If you can find it and it's there, great. But, we all know that casting went through major restructuring and everything like that. And Jeff Probst is one of the main people in control of casting, if not the main person in control of casting. He has a type, and his type is this underdog type player. So, yeah, I just think that's where we stand with this. And so, that's Randon. Randon, I think Randon is going to be like a Tony Vlachos of either really, really good or really, really bad. And when I say Tony, I mean his upside downside. He could go either way on this season.
Game changers, Tony.
Yeah, he could be the first person booted because he plays way too hard, or he could just end up on the right tribe and make his way through this game playing really, really hard. So, and make it work for him. So we'll see how that ends up going. I'm not going to make a final prediction here on Randon just yet. Let's jump over to Venus and the very large amount of headspace that she got on this photo. Everybody else is way more zoomed in than hers.
I got to zoom in. I can barely see her.
I know. And that's not me. These were the photos that were taken. So let me go over here and I will start reading Venus. Will, if you want to look at maybe some comments or questions or something to fill the time while I click around.
No, I'm just going to kind of try to remember what I remember about Venus's video is that her parents were immigrants from Iran, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they moved to Canada. Is she Canadian? And
she is.
That was a struggle being from Iran and living in North America. And I think that's what I remember from her video, at least, that being a big part of her life story. So, yeah.
Yeah, so she's 24. She's from Hill, Ontario, now lives in Toronto, Ontario, data analyst. Name 3 of her favorite hobbies: playing poker, creative writing, and making short films. This is going to sound weird, but cleaning is one of my favorite hobbies. I don't care if it's not considered one. It brings me so much peace and clarity. Yes, I'm a clean freak. 3 adjectives: passionate, persistent, and sassy. So similar to Randon, except she remembered to say passionate and not just passion.
Passion. But she did say persistent, and Randon said relentless.
He did. So, well, no, I think he also said it. I can't click back to it because then wait, here it is. He said analytical, persistent, and passionate. Yeah. And then his friends would describe him as relentless. That was
okay. So he said persistent and passion. So we got 2 of the 3.
Yeah. Yeah. How would your friends describe you? They would describe me as someone with a really tough exterior. Think Regina George from Mean Girls, but a secret softie. I'm actually a crybaby under my tough girl facade, and I'm very emotional and empathetic to the tiniest of things.
Ooh,
what risk have you taken in your life to make a change for the better? And the outcome wasn't planned. Comes from a very conservative household. So when it came to choose university, she was faced with either the easy option or the hard option, and she chose the hard option. It was the best decision she ever made. What is the accomplishment she's most proud of?
What was
Is
the hard option and the easy option? Was it like going to school your parents wanted you to go to, or defying your parents' wishes and doing what you wanted to?
So the easy option was a school 30 minutes from home, meaning she would live with her parents and not have to worry about rent or meals. The hard option was 8 hours away. That would she'd have to fund herself for the first time in her life. What accomplishment is she most proud of? Biggest accomplishment is the biggest lesson. Never giving up and graduating from university. Something you would never know by looking at her. She's very observant and can see right through people's facades. It's the second time she used facade in this. The threshold to earn her trust is quite high, but she becomes fast friends with a few people who can meet that threshold. And what past Survivor player would you play the game most like? She says Parvati and Cerise, so perhaps she would have been better for the traders. Will,
Yeah.
what do you got on Venus here? Cork Sauls says she was born in Canada, moved back to Iran at 40 days old, then moved back to Canada. Her parents moved back, I guess. I shouldn't have said she did. So she didn't move. She stayed in Canada. I don't really understand exactly what ended up happening here, but that's Venus. So Venus, 24 years old. What do you think about Venus? Her audition tape was very much about she wants to be the first Persian winner of Survivor.
Yeah, I think there's again a lot of red flags here, and maybe the whole cast is just red flags, and it's like, hey, that can't really knock you because everyone's got them. So far here though, on this slide in particular, it's like red flags popping up everywhere for me, Phil. If you describe yourself, let me get this straight. In what context did she use Regina George from Mean Girls? How would your friends describe you? Was that one,
yes.
right?
Well, that's her tough exterior, but she's
that's a tough exterior. Softie. That's her facade. Now, I love Mean Girls. I love that movie. It's actually probably one of my favorite movies ever. It's probably in the top 10. Maybe not top 15. I love that movie. Regina George is very popular at the high school, yes, but she is also feared, and everyone thinks she's a bully, and people don't really aspire to be like her. They want to be liked by her. And I don't want to go too literal with the Regina George thing, but if she's like puts out this tough facade, like that could have a lot of negative consequences. So I don't know. I feel like that's not a good thing to be like Regina George. And then she goes on to say that she gets mad at the tiniest little things. Oh man, that to me, you're going to go live on an island very closely with different types of personalities and people with no creature comforts, starving, probably wet, cold, who knows what else. To let something really small, I get mad at the smallest little things. I mean, it sounds like someone who is going to get into arguments or hold disdain for people. And it's hard not to let that show on a 6-person tribe. And if everyone thinks you're Regina George, that's not good. So I see her being potentially one of the first boots here, I think, especially if they lose a challenge early and they're going for tribe strength, as they often do. I mean, it feels like the new era. Women get eliminated in the pre-merge at a higher rate than men do. For sure, it feels like as doing the rewatch. So I fear for Venus here. And I like that she's persistent, but we got this orange tribe is very persistent and they're very passionate.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the rest of the Orange Tribe as we start getting to them. So, like, there might be places for Venus to hide, potentially, depending on how certain people get along with each other. She does say that she's going into immigration law, so it's interesting that her occupation is listed as data analyst, which then also gets into Rachel's comment here.
She's analyzing the data about immigration so that she can make laws about it.
Well, and that's getting into Rachel's line here. Along that white collar line, how many times are we going to get the I'm a lawyer, but I'm defying lawyer stereotypes? Do you think that that's kind of like Venus isn't quite to what Katura was, because Katura was going that way? But if she wants to work in immigration law, or if she's working her way towards immigration law, which is very much like what her life has been and everything like that, because she's worried about getting her family, into the country and all of that. Do you think that there's just like a lot of conflicting personalities kind of going on with Venus here that's going to get her into trouble early? It feels like she's really cerebral, really emotional, really persistent. There's a lot going on here that is hard for me to put into the box that I like to put Survivor players into. I can't really put her
I
into a
don't know.
box,
I
which
don't
maybe is a good
find.
thing.
I think occupations are probably a little bit overrated, especially when we do these cast assessments. Like,
I hate jobs. I don't want one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of Survivor players, how much does your occupation influence people's perception of you? I think it's probably very little at the end of the day. And I get it. If you want to go in and not tell people you're a lawyer, fine. But is it going to change your game all that much? Like, I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. And maybe there are some certain occupations, but it's like at the end of the day, you are living on a beach with these people. And if I get along with one person and they're a lawyer and I don't get along with someone else and they're a pet cremator, then that's just how it goes down. Like I
Mhm.
don't think, oh, you're an elementary school teacher. I should like you because you deal with kids and are sweet and nice. If I don't click with you and I'm clicking with the lawyer, that's who I'm gonna vote you. I'm gonna vote the teacher out, and that's just
Mhm.
because that's gonna advance my game, and I have a better relationship and more trust with someone who I click with, and maybe can find commonalities with, and get on the same page with in terms of strategy and voting and living together. All that comes with that. That I think people, especially players going out, think a little too hard about their occupations, thinking it's going to change their perception of them. When I just don't think that's the case.
All right, let's move on, and we can, we'll come back to Randon and Venus at another time. We got Hunter and Liz on this next page. So Hunter, who Will said reminds him of Ted Lasso.
I
That's who
got
we'll
Ted Lasso vibes in the 1 minute video.
in the 1 minute video. Ted Lasso is Hunter. I mean, that's got to be a compliment, right? I mean, I'd want to be Ted Lasso. Am I
Yeah,
wrong
I
on
mean
that?
he's a teacher, I want to say, and he's like very much. I think there's a lot of photos of him with his kids. I don't know if he's a coach necessarily, but I got this like good energy that he's like a leader, but in a very like fun, jokey way.
I could
Uh,
see I
like
could
Ted
see
Lasso.
Hunter winning for sure. Because when I look at Hunter, 28 from French Camp, Mississippi, science teacher, he was going to like medical school, but he just didn't want to be a doctor anymore because he just wanted to go back and teach kids. And once he like substituted for somebody and decided, hey, I really like this, I'd rather do this, and acknowledges he took the massive pay cut, but he just has so much more fun doing it. And now he's concerned that the high school kids are going to make fun of him. That's kind of what you get from his video. But I think I talk a lot about on this show how like sometimes it feels like in the new era of casting, these people don't necessarily know themselves as soon as they get out on the island, which I feel like back in the day, pretty much everybody knew who they were going out there. And I feel like Hunter is somebody when you're making those types of life decisions at a young age is somebody who it has gotten to know themselves incredibly well. So I could definitely see that working out for him. I can get into the rest of his bio, but if you want to comment on that first.
I think that's a pretty sound take. It always feels like this happened a little bit. Jeff's like, we're really looking for people, and maybe it's not the new era, but some of the seasons in the 30s, we want people they're in like a transitional state of their life. Like I was doing this, but now I threw that away. And now I'm going after this. Or I just finished law school and I don't know what I'm doing now. And that's something that Jeff has really taken to.
Mhm.
And maybe here there's signs of that in this casting where he likes people that are that have just taken new steps. And maybe he's been a teacher for a while, but it seems like he did make a really rather big decision or life choice. What he was going to be, he was in medical school, right?
That's
Something
what it
like
was.
that.
Yeah.
And now
Medical
he
school.
teaches chemistry or science in some fashion. So, clearly, a studious academic guy and has gone the route of, teaching kids and sharing knowledge rather than, starting a medical practice, which, has some merits. And yeah, I get good vibes from Hunter, I think.
All right, so let me go through his things. His 3 favorite hobbies: building Survivor challenges. Will, you got a friend here. Playing any sport and
Does he
camping.
design Survivor challenges or he just builds them? Because I don't
He
build them.
builds them. Well, you design them
Okay.
so he can build them. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'll have to hit him up.
3 adjectives: clever, competitive, and adamant. It's kind of like persistent. How would
Adamant.
your
So we got adamant, relentless, and persistent.
Yeah, we got it all. How would your friends describe you? Competitive, a bit odd, intelligent, quick-witted, maybe a little arrogant, maybe. Fun and
Mm-hmm.
hardworking. What risks have you taken in life that could be, even if the outcome wasn't planned? I left a full ride scholarship and direct admission into medical school to come back and teach at my hometown. I decided it could be more impactful teaching there. Honestly, it ended up being an awesome decision. Accomplishment he's most proud of, making it through school without making anything below an A, graduated college in 3.5 years. Something that you wouldn't know. I graduated 4.0 in college, graduated valedictorian at my high school. Who would he play the game most like is Hayden. Why do you think he's leaning in so hard on these answers, talking about like his college days when he's 28 years old?
Yeah, I mean, he's very academic, it seems like. And even, he's a teacher. So clearly school is important to him, and teaching and learning and all that. So like, clearly if he went to college and was really successful, he likes being in that environment. So I just think that's really important to him. But yeah, it's funny reading this interview, because now I have the interviews up, Phil. And
hey, you're joining the party. Good job.
What accomplishment are you most proud of? And it's like making it through all my high school without making anything below an A. And then what would you not know by looking at you? I graduated 4.0. It's like, well, you just told us you didn't get anything below an A. So I kind of had a feeling that you'd get. We did know that.
I think it's
because
this,
you're
like,
talking about
town,
that quite a bit.
It's this small town Mississippi thing, right? Of like where he's almost leaning into the fact of like, I'm going to come across as kind of the Southern, not the most intelligent guy. And that's how I want to come across. I'm going to trick all of you into thinking I'm not as smart as I am. And it seems like he's very passionate about that. He takes a lot of pride in that fact.
He's adamant about getting good grades.
He's adamant about getting good grades. And I hope.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think he's going to be one of like the nerd archetypes, where he is a nerdy, goofy guy, and then we're getting extra layers to that archetype? Or is he kind of on his own thing? Because look, he's not wearing glasses. He's got like a pineapple shirt, some shorts. I think he's barefoot, as everyone seems to be in these photos. So it doesn't feel like he's falling into a nerd archetype. But as an academic and as someone who's clearly smart like that, I don't know. He could. Do we have another obvious nerd on the season? He could fall more into that. Like, hey, he's only 28, so he's still like a younger guy, and could just be a new kind of, hey, I'm a different version. I'm this Southern teacher nerd. I don't know.
To me, it seems like it's going more of the Southern stereotype. That's like the route that they're going with this casting choice. It doesn't seem so much like the nerd route. It seems like they are going more of the Southern route. And then the nerd thing is going to be, that's like the subversion of the expectation more than anything.
Okay. So yeah, he's the Southern boy who happens to be really nerdy and smart, not the nerd who happens to be a Southern boy.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's
and I do wonder, and we do get a little bits of this in his interview here, that he is might be a little arrogant, and I wonder if that comes from, you hear this, maybe you don't hear this all the time, but you hear this like Harvard rejects like hundreds of valedictorians every year, because valedictorians all apply to Harvard. And there's so many valedictorians. There's so many high schools in the country. And if this is like a small town and you're valedictorian at your small town high school and got a 4.0, obviously he did in college too. But what my point is that sometimes it's easier to stand out when you come from a small town. And if you're in the big city, or I don't know, if you're with more people, and it's just more competitive, and that him maybe having this arrogance is that he's came from a really small place growing up and was just like the best person there. I don't know.
That makes me like him even more, because I grew up
not
in a really
to rip
small
on
town,
him. Not to rip on him.
I was the best person in the town I grew up in, hands down, no questions asked. Anybody who tries to say they were better, I'm just like, no. Yeah. Shout out Lacey. What's up? But anyway, no, I like Hunter a lot.
Who's Lacey?
The town I grew up in.
Oh. Didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. That's how I became alive.
There was a town of 3 people, and you came out on top, Phil.
I did. We had to reduce my family. One of my family members had to live on the other side of the county line, or the town line, so that there could only be 3 people in the town. So we had to get an extra bedroom. There's my sad story. Liz Wilcox, we're going to her. She's 35, Luther, Michigan, currently lives in Orlando, Florida. She's a marketing strategist. 3 hobbies are running, telling jokes, and making money. 3 adjectives are fun seeking. Is that a word? Growth minded and effing capable of anything. How would your friends describe you? Relentless as all get out. People are always telling me that my drive is so inspiring. What risks have you taken in your life to make a change for the better? There was a moment in my marriage where I knew it wouldn't work. I decided to leave. No plan or cash. It was really scary, but I just had to go out on my own. It ended up being the best thing ever, and I now have more than I could ever dream from. What accomplishment are you most proud of? My first thought is I make my own money, but then I just think it's the fact that I truly believe in myself. There's a lot of fake confidence out there, but I truly love myself and believe in me so much. I haven't met many people like that. So that is what I'm most proud of. What is something you would never know from looking at you? I was mute until the age of 7, had a crazy nervous tic, and would hyperventilate from nerves. Now I'm a public speaker and the face of my company. You would never guess. She wants to play most like Russell and Sandra. I feel like she's trolling us with that answer, and I do appreciate it. Might be. She also has a daughter. She's a single mother now. I'm just looking at the notes I took on her down here. So she's single mother with a daughter. She said she started 3 businesses of her own. Liz has definitely been on a journey, Will. What do you think about Liz?
I think Liz is someone who is going to, as long as she's in the show, she will be I feel like a focus. And look, she could go home as the first boot. She could be the second boot, pre-merge. That easily could happen here. I also see a world where she goes very far in the game and is one of the main characters of this season. She's got a lot of energy. Clearly, she's a goofball, but she's clearly successful also, which I always find really interesting with some of these wacky characters that find themselves doing their own thing. Like she kind of found her own path, started 3 companies, and she talked about how much money she's making. Like she's figured some things out. She's had a marriage, gone through a divorce. Like you were talking about people that come on this show, maybe not knowing themselves that well. It seems like Liz fully is aware of who she is and her place in the world, and she loves who she is. She says that multiple times here. She's all about it. So I think she's someone, again, I kind of got to look at the challenge strength on some of these other tribes. It's crazy just because you lose one challenge, that first challenge, and it could be you going first. Like Liz could go home, especially if she doesn't. A lot of these types of people, they don't have time to really fit in and let their charm kind of grow. So it's like you can easily be like, wow, we have this wacky lady on our tribe. We lost. There's just a lot of reasons early on. I think you could look at Liz and say, let's get her out. But someone, when their tribe wins a couple challenges and then you live with her, you're like, wait a second, this lady has actually got it together. Cool chick. I got to know her more. I don't think she's as weird as I initially did, but before getting deeper. And I could see her being a major part of this season. It really depends here early. That's my read, at least.
Yeah, Liz is definitely somebody who doesn't benefit from a small tribe. I think that she could do really well in this game, but she kind of has, and maybe I'm just like looking too far into this, but it kind of gives me Emily vibes a little bit. Emily was very confident in herself too, and she was just abrasive to people. I don't think Liz is going to be necessarily abrasive, but Emily needed that quit from Hannah on day 1, and then Emily really got her footing. So maybe Liz could follow a similar path to that. It will just come down to, are they strong enough to have her hang around longer in the game? One thing I found interesting about Liz, and I know you probably didn't watch many of the casting videos when they were being released, but Liz started her casting video, or at least the part that CBS showed, was her saying, I'm so nervous to be making this right now. And then she keeps talking about how confident and aggressive she is. And I thought, like, when you're watching that, and, you know, this is just for the people who are really interested in the casting process, that kind of felt like it contradicted everything you've ever been told, whether it's by Jeff Probst or a Survivor casting person or anybody. It feels like that contradicted everything of her kind of going right out and saying how nervous she is to make that video and then saying she's super confident and aggressive. I was a little surprised that worked for her, and it did, and good for her. So obviously they saw something in her that maybe we'll end up seeing down the line, but she definitely has a crazy story.
Yeah, I think the whole self-starter of it all is like very attractive to any show that, you know, people, whether they have their own companies or they're freelancers or artists or like do their own thing, like that requires a lot of persistence, relentlessness. You got to be adamant. No, you have to give it your all. You have to want to do it, and you have to really. You got to be passionate about it. Not to make
I hate
the whole deal.
Oh, you want to just read it off the list?
Right. Should I just read everyone's words? And we are getting people like this. The that is all you. And to be successful in that manner, it's that you had to do something right, and you have to have that confidence, and you have to have that ability and that drive. And so I understand why that at least that part of Liz is extremely attractive to Survivor. And I think a lot of reality TV shows, because when you cast someone on these shows, you are trusting them. You are you have a big investment. There's only 18 spots per season, and millions of people watch this show, and you are a big part. The cast as a whole is essential to a good season. And so every casting choice is huge. And when you have someone that has found success just through themselves, and they aren't relying on a lot of, exterior factors, I think it does. I think that part makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe that'll work for me one day. Will, I've gone the freelance route.
I started this podcast all on my own, except it wasn't on my own. It was mainly because of my
might
co-host.
as well have been on my own. The way you've acted, but
the way I just abandoned you, and honestly, stuff like no. But if you start a very successful Survivor podcast and use that to get cast, like that is something where you are passionate, you're driven, you're adamant, you're relentless. Phil, we keep making these podcasts.
I'm passionate.
Yeah, you're passionate. So it's that type of thing.
Passion. All right, we're moving on to the next two. The final two people from this tribe, Tevin and Soda. Now, her name is like Sodacia, I think it is, but she goes by Soda. So we have Tevin and we have Soda. We're going to start off with Tevin. Tevin is 24 years old, from Goochland, Virginia, currently lives in Richmond, Virginia.
Say that city again?
I'm not going to say it again. He's an actor. We're going to keep this G-rated here. Well, come on.
I just didn't hear it.
You read it. You got it. Name 3 of your favorite hobbies: going to the beach, listening to music, fashion, and shopping. 3 adjectives: kind, charismatic, and optimistic. How would your friends describe you? I asked all my friends, and I compiled a run-on sentence. He's incandescent, beautiful sparks of energy and joy, walking definition of super multifaceted talent, radiance, embodied, hardworking, adaptable. Pretty much every good word. His friends really like him. My friends would have been like, Phil, you're kind of an asshole. We don't really like you that much. What risks have you taken in your life to make a change for the better, even if the outcome wasn't planned? One of the biggest risks I've taken is saying yes to the theater director that asked me to be in Beauty and the Beast when I was in 8th grade. I didn't want to say yes, but I did, and my life has absolutely been forever changed by this for the better. I've also taken many risks being an advocate for Black bodies, minorities, and the oppressed. What is the accomplishment you're most proud of? I not only finished college as a first-generation student, but I also utilized the scholarships I earned, which made for my parents not having to spend a single dime on tuition or housing. He finished magna cum laude and made the dean's list each semester. What would you not know from looking at him? I'm country boy at heart and don't ever think I'm too good to get a little messy. And he wants to play the game like Marianne and Cochran. He was talking a lot about a tough upbringing, evictions, foreclosures, all of that stuff. But now he's an actor and he loves it. Would not get the country boy vibe from him if you were asking, even after watching his video. So what's your take on Tevin?
Theater and acting is very, very city, at least in my head.
Yeah.
This is like the first one I feel like is got a different attitude. I know he's passionate, but it doesn't seem that he is relentless or adamant or persistent. He is determined, though. No, it's serious. It is a different energy, I think, where the words to describe him are he's like charismatic and charming and energetic and positive. And it seems like he's just a really good guy to be around. And he's like really a likable, fun dude. So, I mean, those people usually go far unless they're too threatening. Caleb last season was so positive and charismatic and charming that it was like, we got to get this guy out of here or he's going to win the damn game. So I'm curious to see if Tevin can maybe pull off some of that charm.
He's a high floor, low ceiling guy again for me. I feel like he's somebody who could go really, really far and win the game, or he's somebody who could fizzle out early because he does have such a strong personality that perhaps that could, if he's got the strong personality and that starts rubbing the wrong way with people. And then on top of that, he, maybe, I don't know how he's going to be in the challenges. I mean, he says he's a country boy, he's an actor. He's probably got some physical ability there, but you just don't know. So I feel like with Tevin, high floor, low ceiling, I feel like he could win the game. I feel like he could be the first person booted. Now we've actually seen all the players from the tribe. So at the end of this, I'll go back and we can kind of look at the cast and see what we think from that tribe as a whole. But
yeah, I mean, I could just see if his tribe is like this more grittier, relentless tribe, and he's more of this like, he says he's effervescent, and he is sparks of joy, radiant. Like it
Yeah,
seems like
that's what
he's a
his
big
friends were saying
ball
about him.
of
Yeah.
a big ball of light and joy with a group that has, gone through some struggles and hardships in their life. And maybe they aren't all about, butterflies and rainbows and whatever that Mean Girls quote is, and butterflies and rainbows and sunshine. Venus will have to help me out with that one. She's a Mean Girls fan. And so maybe that part doesn't click here. I could see that maybe being an issue, but if it's not, if it's like, you know what? A lot of us have been down on our luck and we've struggled and we've overcome so many things. Now we love having this positive energy around. I could also very much see that. So yeah, I'm with you. I could see it going either way.
Yeah. And then let's jump over to Soda. Hang on, I gotta pull this up here. So Soda, 27, from Long Island, or currently lives in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey, special ed teacher. 3 hobbies: singing, taking walks, and doing random crafts. Adjectives: intentional, determined, and empathetic. How would her friends describe? Yeah, how would her friends describe her? If I'm honest, my friends might say I'm silly, extra, and anxious at times, but they bear with me. What risks have you taken in your life to make a change for the better? I got married super young to a man from Brazil. I had only known him for 6 months. He is amazing. It really worked out. What accomplishment are you most proud of? I'm so proud of my life I've built. I have a great job and work hard to have honest relationships. I'm extremely proud of the statistics and odds that I've overcome. What is something we would never know from looking at you? I'm deathly afraid of butterflies. I cannot even be in the same field as one, and I can sense when anything small, soft, and winged is nearby.
Oh, God.
And what past Survivor would you play the game most like? She said season 42.
That's funny. Yeah, I think she's got some season 42 in her.
Yeah,
I can see that. Wait, was Soda the one that when she was being interviewed, a fly was like buzzing around and she like freaked out and swatted it away?
I can't remember, to be completely honest with you.
Because they were so quick, these videos. They were
they were very
quick.
short.
I think she's gonna play like Brandon from season 45.
That's bad. That's not good.
No, I know it's not good, but I mean, listen to this. I'm deathly afraid of butterflies. Okay. Butterflies, they just like float and what they flutter.
Can you do that arm motion one more time for everybody at home, please? Yeah, there it is. Okay, good.
They flutter. They don't even like, they also don't buzz. Like the insects I don't like it's more the audio, not the physical. It's like, if someone flaps its wings, some insect, I'm like, I don't really care. It's when they get up in your ear and they buzz. That's what really, I go, oh, I flinch, I cannot even be in the same field as one, as if the field is like some, extremely rigid, specific place. Like, oh no, I can't go to that field. I got to go to this field where there's no butterflies. I mean,
she's from New Jersey too, which is crazy because there's a lot of butterflies in New Jersey. A lot.
Like you.
Yeah. No, I mean, seriously though, there's butterflies everywhere. So it's like, did you never go in a backyard of like anybody in New Jersey?
And the butterflies aren't scary. And then she says, and I can sense when anything small, soft, and winged is nearby. Now, she doesn't go on to say that she's definitely afraid of all small, soft, and winged things, but it is the sentence right after she mentions she's definitely afraid of butterflies. So I have a feeling it's not just butterflies and that she is really afraid. And I'm telling you, when you are in Fiji, there are bugs flying around nonstop. Nonstop.
It's humid.
I mean, if she can't deal with that, I mean, I could see a quit here.
A quit. That's where you're going. You're going quit. See, it's good to have you back on these cast assessments because Alexa and I would just sit here and be like, yeah, we like everybody. And you're over here. Soda is now quitting Survivor 46 because of Will.
I'm just not because of Will, because she doesn't like bugs. And there's a ton of bugs. Like if that's something, again, she doesn't say butterflies annoy me. She says, I am deathly afraid of butterflies, like deathly afraid. And hey, her friends say that she's a little bit extra and that she's a little bit nervous. So maybe this is what's coming out of that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I get a whole lot else from the interview. Like the interview, that's the part that jumps out, especially if she's gonna play like season 42. So yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say other than she likes singing, taking walks, doing random crafts. Yeah, I don't know. She's silly. What are you getting, Phil?
I mean, I think she's fun. I don't know how good she's going to be at Survivor, but I think she's fun. I think her answers were gold right across the board. I mean, the season 42 answer is phenomenal. I think she's great in that sense. How is she actually going to play the game of Survivor though? That's the biggest question, right? I mean, is it
Yeah,
going to
there's not
bother?
a
We don't.
lot of Survivor talk in this interview about. I mean, obviously we don't have the player comp, but it's not like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I don't know, have we gotten that from more of these interviews? Usually, don't they ask them like, how do you want to play the game, not just a player comp?
They do sometimes throw that stuff in, but they really didn't in these interviews. Maybe that's just because I'm going off of Parade. Maybe Bloom just didn't ask those, but I'm not sure. I want to pull up too. I didn't get all the hot takes. We haven't had all the hot takes. So let me finish out. What's her hot take? Soda's hot take is she wants the auction back, but that already happened. So she hadn't seen last season. And that's not really a hot take. Everybody wanted the auction back.
Yeah, that wasn't a hot take at all.
Yeah, that's not a hot take. Tevin's hot take was you shouldn't have to give up immunity at Final Four, which you don't have to, but I do get what he's saying there of like people overvalue the immunity a lot at that point.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know if that's the hottest take in the world either, but I think it's more of an incorrect. You don't have to. Like Dee didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's only if you really need it. Like if you haven't done enough.
So now Soda's going to quit and Tevin's incorrect. All right, so we're going to get off this slide before Will ruins friendships here. I do want to go back.
I want to hear the other hot takes. I want to rip into other people's hot takes.
Hunter's hot take was Natalie White deserved to beat Russell Hantz.
That's not that hot of a take either. I feel like
you love that take. I think that's not a hot take anymore. It was a hot take a couple of years ago. Liz loves Final Four fire making, thinks Ben is one of the best winners ever. That is a hot take.
Yo, that is a hot take, and I am with you, Liz. I've mentioned that before, that I think Ben is very underrated because of what happens with fire making and all the idols. Like he had some gameplay stuff. The double agent stuff goes so overlooked. It's something we really had not seen before in 35 seasons of the show, to vote someone out and flip on them while they didn't even know it was you. So I give Ben credit for that. And thanks, Liz, for bringing that up.
And then I already did Venus's, right? No, Venus didn't have one. Bloom was not able to ask Venus.
That is a hot take. That
is a hot question. Venus, Maria, and Ben
George
all don't have one. Yeah, they all don't have one.
She was her tough exterior.
Bloom was too afraid to ask. As to not make this podcast Oppenheimer long right now, let's look at this tribe real quick. First boot from this tribe, and who do you think has the most winner potential from this tribe?
First boot. Oh, man. It's really tough. I'm going to go Venus. I'm sorry, Venus. Yeah, you're fire. I'm your Venus. You don't have fire.
And who do you think's got the most winner potential?
Winner potential. I think it's got to be. It's tough. I'm gonna go Tevin.
Tevin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna say Soda first boot. That's my pick there, and I'm gonna say Hunter with the winner potential.
Yeah, I could see that. I was between Hunter and Tevin.
I think Tevin's got a lot. I think Randon. I said though they have high floors and high ceilings, low floors. Like I could see there's a lot of disparity there. I think Hunter, especially since like we have seen tribes get decimated in recent seasons. Like last season, I guess they hadn't seen 45 before this happened, but they did see 44, so they did get to watch like that Tika 3 go far, but that Tika tribe also just got decimated early on. I think they're going to try to keep the strength. I think you're going to start to see strength become a little bit more of a factor on these tribes. And so kind of in agreement with you there that Soda or Venus kind of jump out to me as maybe the more obvious first boots from this season or this cast, this tribe. All right, let's jump on to the next tribe. We're going Siga. This is the green tribe. And as you can see, Hunter towering right there. There's nobody to match up with Hunter on this tribe.
Yeah. No, it doesn't look that way.
So that's the tribe right
It
there.
looks like an overall shorter tribe, but I don't know. The camera angle and where they're standing in the background, I could all screw with it.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so that doesn't really matter all that much anyway. I just wanted everybody to get a good look. Take a look at the Siga tribe. Breathe in, breathe out. All right. We're starting off with Tim and Maria. So Tim will be who I talk about first here. Tim is a 31-year-old from Arlington, Virginia, who currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a college coach. 3 hobbies: dating his wife, watching Survivor.
Are you dating if it's your wife?
Well, and here's a good one: watching Survivor and the Peaky Blinders. So one of his favorite hobbies is watching a show that he doesn't know the proper name of. Exercising daily, physically and emotionally. 3 adjectives: goal-oriented, charismatic team player, strategic thinker. How would his friends describe him? His friends would describe him as God's child. Tim is extremely uplifting, a good listener, and a great friend to have. Tim is always down for a good time. What risks have you taken?
Children, Phil.
We're all God's children. One of the most paramount risks of his life was applying to graduate school. Having worked in the nonprofit sector for 3 years at the time, I knew I needed to enhance my background and become validated in the field of education with potential to earn higher pay. Before driving home from DC every day after work, I would pass GWU, where I finally mustered up the courage to apply to graduate. He was accepted as one of the 6 African-American males enrolling at the Graduate School of Education and Human Development, a cohort of 216 students. Accomplishment he's most proud of. Several accomplishments to spell out, but he's got working, Carter, Cooper, achieving work performance metrics, what I should say there. Optimistic in all situations, Morehouse College, parenthood, loved his life, introduced Barack Obama. Survivor called me back, homeowner, making it to 30 as an African-American male, traveled to several continents. What is something we would never know by looking at you? He's had 2 eye incidents during his lifetime. During his childhood, he got a metal hanger stuck in his eye after jumping off a table. And years later, after watching his aunt administer eye drops, he too gave it a try. However, he picked up nail glue instead. He glued his left eye shut, which remained closed for 2 weeks. The doctor said it would dissolve and open eventually. Everything's fine. I live to see another day. What Survivor would he want to play the most like? Probably the greatest answer in the history of Survivor, Shamar Thomas.
This question is providing gold. I feel like no one is taking it seriously because this is not a serious answer with Shamar. I think Liz said Russell and Sandra, which, hey, maybe she was being serious, but still, it's funny. And we got season 42 from Soda. I don't know which one's funny. I think season 42 is still funnier, but Shamar. I mean, this is a fan of the show right here. This is someone that I actually don't get a lot from in this interview. Like, it feels all very, I love my wife. I like working. I like my kids. Like, yes, we know you like your kids. Like,
cool.
Shocker. And then that answer kind of like ties a bow on it. Like, I'm getting a better picture of this guy through those 2 words more than his whole list of achievements. Because this seems like just a pretty middle of the road standard dude, honestly. Until that answer.
Yeah. And like Corksall says, Shamar got medevac due to an eye injury for anybody who's not remembering. So it's
that's right.
That's even better.
So he's really funny.
Better. Yeah.
He's really funny.
That's a phenomenal
I didn't even remember
answer.
that. Is so good. Wow. I mean, it was funny without that. And now it's like, okay, this guy's good. This guy's really good.
This guy's good. He also, where was it? I wrote down, he trains high school students how to get into college, and then he trains college students how to excel in college. So he's a college coach, but he's like literally like a college coach. He's not an athletic coach. He's a college coach, which is interesting. Not the way I took that originally.
No, when I saw college coach, I thought he was like a football coach or like a track coach or a swimming coach or
because then he even says he's like the black fish or something like that at the beginning of his video. So I was like, oh, maybe he's a swim coach.
Yeah,
he's not. He's not. A swim coach.
There's something here that stands out to me. What is the accomplishment you are most proud of? I don't know if this is an accomplishment. I think this is more of a trait, but he's optimistic in all situations. I love that, man. I really do. I try to live by that, and it's not easy. It's not always something you can just turn on a smile. But staying positive, man, that's a big part of I like being around people who are who are positive. And with this guy's Shamar joke, again, didn't get a whole lot here, but I'm really liking Tim. I really am. With those
Huge
two
winner
things,
potential.
yeah,
Huge winner
I'm
potential
pretty
from Tim.
in on Tim. I gotta say, so far the Green Tribe is off to a great start.
All right, let's see if Maria can ruin it for them. As we jump over to her, I got to get to the picture. So hold on.
I'm gonna get some water.
You're gonna get some water. All right. There's no water breaks allowed on Survivor podcasting. I'll take this time then, since we're pretty much at the hour mark. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel, like the video. If you're doing all that stuff, please make sure to. And if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/the specialist. $20 tier is going to get to play in the power rankings game. Also going to get to play in the fantasy game. And we, like I said, we put out 30 episodes for our top tier, and $5 tier, $10 tier. You were also getting a whole bunch of that stuff. We've really put a lot of effort into it. Also, we have merch right now. It's just basic merch that has the specialist logo on it. So if you're interested in getting that, we just put the store up, and it is in the description of the video. So Will is back. So I'm going to go over here. Maria,
you're going to read Maria's while I was
no,
gone.
I'm not doing that. Maria Gonzalez, 48 years old, Dallas, Texas, lives in Dallas, Texas, is a parent coach. Ooh, 2 coaches on the same page. Name 3 of your favorite hobbies: travel, running, spending time with friends. 3 adjectives: determined, loyal, resilient. How would her friends describe her? Funny, compassionate, fiercely loyal, a good friend, determined,
resilient and resilient,
persistent, organized, authentic, incredibly competitive. What risks have you taken after college and before grad school? I moved to Costa Rica.
I have some words I could use to describe her.
Yes, as an English teacher.
Here are my words to describe her: determined, resilient, persistent, and redundant.
Wow. Oh, man. Maria getting hit with the redundant from Will off the bat. That year was one of the most transformative years of her life. She learned to thrive in an environment that was vastly different from the comfort she knew at home. What accomplishment are you most proud of? So many accomplishments, but I would say birthing my 3 children at home on my own terms without medication and without interruptions were the most empowering moments to me. That is crazy. What is something we would never know from looking at you? She ate sheep's head in Morocco, was Miss February in a salsa vixen swimsuit calendar.
What head?
Sheep's head.
Oh, man.
Was Miss February in a salsa vixen swimsuit calendar, got lost in the Champs-Élysées. I can never say that right. Somebody get me that. In Paris when I was a little girl, never learned. No, that's not the one I'm struggling with. Never learned how to whistle growing up and has an obsession with untying knots. Who would she play the most like? Drea Wheeler and Natalie Anderson.
Good comps.
That's a good comp. Let me see what her hot take was.
What's a parent coach? I don't know if I've heard of a parent coach.
She doesn't have a hot take. She coaches parents.
Does she coach parents, or is she a parent that's a coach?
I think she coaches parents. And here's why. Okay, so I feel like Maria was the one I got the least amount from in her video.
We get a lot here. I get a lot here.
I get a lot here, but in her video, it was like she's an immigrant. She grew up really poor and she's a mother. That was like all I got, which in a minute, okay, that's a lot. But when you look at the rest of this cast, I feel like there's a lot of people who can fit into those categories, but also it's something that really stood out in a different way. She didn't really have that in the video, but her answers here are very, very good. And I like the Miss February thing, the eating sheep's head, like getting those 2 things together, that helps. Now, you called her redundant earlier, but now you're saying that you're getting a lot. So, Will, which is it?
Well, no, I said, listen to these words. It's determined, resilient, persistent. Those all mean the same thing. That's what I was talking about. No, I get more here. It seems like even the sheep's head thing, it then says in parentheses, I'll try most things once. So this seems like a pretty outgoing individual who is not afraid to get her hands dirty and is not shy. Like this is a person that will have a presence, and that can be good, but that can also be bad. I do see some like first boot potential. I got to say, Maria, I'm sorry. It's just, I got to call it how I see it. To give birth 3 times with no medicine, that is absolutely, that takes a really special, unique type of person. And yeah, Phil, what are you? I feel like she's a lot. She's going to be a big presence, and that can really, especially early, that could rub people the wrong way. But hey, it's so hard with this because a tribe can, not go to tribal before the merge. We've seen it a couple times in the new era, maybe only once. But anyway, you get my point. Like,
I do. Maria, like I said, tribes,
Go ahead.
Okay, here's the biggest thing, right? She's 48, but doesn't really look 48. But how well do 48-year-olds generally do on the show? Not well. Julie did great last season. Mike Turner went deep. But more often than not, the older people go home early. I want to know, what is she going to connect with these people on? She's a parent coach, but how does she connect with Phil and Will who don't have kids? How does she connect? Like that's where my concern is. Now, there are a lot of people on this season who do have families, who do have children, who love all that stuff.
A lot of kids this season.
However, is that going to be her like defining trait on this season? That's what I'm concerned about. And it seems like being a mother is the most important thing to her, which, like, great, that's awesome. But when somebody, here we go, right? When somebody starts telling me how being a mother is the most important thing to them, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go get a beer and talk to somebody else. Because to me, I have nothing to connect with you over now, because that's not something I've ever experienced. And, you know, I'm saying this like even from a father perspective, I just kind of like, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. I just don't know what I'm getting from Maria. And to put Tim and her on the same thing, two interesting types of coaches.
Does Tim have kids?
Yeah, I think that's what Cooper is. One of the things he's most proud of.
Or is that a dog? I guess you wouldn't be proud. You would be proud of your dog. But Cooper makes me think of a dog.
I mean, Cooper's just, well, it's the name of the dog from Fox and the Hound, which is why you're going there. But have you ever heard of Cooper Kupp? Do you know who Cooper Kupp is?
I do.
You're familiar with his work? Yeah. Okay, good.
No, I didn't say it wasn't possible for someone to be named Cooper. That's just where my head goes.
Cooper Manning. Cool. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump over to the next people on this drive.
Yeah.
I got Ben and Jem. Okay. First, I want to say this. So I listened to Degreaser today, which is Ben's band. It's crazy how Survivor just puts the same types of music on all the time. Like Jay Maya and Ben just make the exact same type of music, and it's crazy that they would do that. For anybody who's listened to both of those, you will understand that I'm definitely joking, because Ben's music was wild and not what I expected at all from this guy. Loved it though. Listen to the top 4 songs that were on his Spotify. So thank you, Ben, for opening my eyes to Degreaser. And I did go and I checked and I was like, let me hear what Jay Maya sounds like. So they definitely weren't putting Ben on just because of his music. He's 31. He's a Miami guy, which means he's got to be my winner pick. He currently lives in Miami. He's an occupation. He's a musician. 3 favorite hobbies: playing guitar, doodling, chilling hard at the beach. He loves
chilling hard. Well, he's going to have a lot of time to do that, I think, Phil.
In his overalls and his Beetlejuice undershirt. 3 adjectives that best describe yourself: motivated, energized, and passionate. How would his friends describe an emotional and passionate person who's living for a good time and a real time? What risks have you taken in your life? I quit running my independent record label at 25 just as success was starting to come. Bands I produced were in big festivals, magazines, touring the world, but I didn't like who I'd become. After hustling for years, living out of my suitcase and chasing dreams with no money to my name, I became a person more concerned with status and appearance and someone who loved what I did. I risked quitting my newfound success to be happy and fall in love with life again. What is the accomplishment I'm most proud of? Being alive today and being able to share my journey with my family and students. Pursuing the arts can be grim, but it's doable, and you have to have a good head on your shoulders. What is something you would never know from looking at you? People assume I'm a laid-back rocker surfer dude, but I think I'm more emotionally intelligent than most people give me credit for. I can read a room and find awareness in most situations while still carrying on being my regular goofy fun self. Whatever. What past Survivor would you play the most game like? Nick Wilson and Cody are who he went with for this. Will, what's your take on the man in overalls and a button down with, I think, flowers?
So we have occupation musician, but I see a lot of like my students.
He is a guitar teacher.
Okay.
But he does have a band, so it kind of goes,
right.
I'm a podcaster.
Yes, you are. A lot of coaches, teachers on this tribe. Like this is like the healers tribe, I want to say. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of that going on. Is he actually your winner pick, or are you just saying that because you are the same age and lived in Miami?
No, I just go homers every time. I picked Dee last year because she was in Miami, and I said if she wins, maybe that'll get Bryson Wendell down here for a Bryson Wendell Presents, and they didn't come down. So now I guess I don't have to keep going with that gig. There's a lot of Floridians on this season, though, so maybe the Floridians will throw a party, and maybe somebody will text me and say, hey, Phil, we're going to throw a party. Don't come, but at least you know it's happening down here in Florida. So maybe we'll get that.
I get the Cody thing, and I think that shows some self-awareness on him. And now obviously he pairs that with a winner in Nick Wilson. I think Ben's going to be a lot of fun. I don't see a lot of like gameplay or anything that's jumping out to me that he's going to be like a hard player or cutthroat player. And I could see him going the way of Cody, where he says he's very emotionally intelligent. I actually believe him. I believe that. I get that energy. And I think he is probably comes off as a laid back server guy, but is probably really into people and their emotions. I don't know if I see him as a heavy hitting game player where he's going to be like making moves and taking control of the game, which, hey, you don't need to take full control. But if he's sitting there at the end, if he even makes it that far, I could see him, well, you weren't the one pulling the strings. So that's kind of my vibe. But I think I could see Ben going far. I think he's got probably really good energy. People like being around him. He probably won't be a liability in challenges. Like I think he gets through the pre-merge unscathed.
So I don't really know. Ben's a tough one for me on how to properly rank because I connect with Ben's story the most out of anybody's on this season. How he was talking about, hey, like he had his own independent record label at 25 and then stopped.
Just like you.
No, but okay. What was I doing at 26 years old, 27? And like you knew me when I was working in all those film jobs and you knew what a bundle of joy I was to be around. It was funny earlier when you were saying you like being around optimistic, positive people, and yet you were friends with me when I was working at Warner Brothers and might have been the most miserable person in LA, which is saying a lot.
You still are.
No, I'm not in LA anymore, so I can't be the most miserable person in LA. But I just think like that story I can really connect with. And I know that after you give up something that you really, really wanted and you thought that like that's what you wanted. And I don't know where Ben started. I don't know what his like family life was like. But like if you worked your way into that and then had to actually reassess and say, is this what I truly want or do I need to renavigate? And then he did navigate it, and it seems like he's doing much better, and he's still doing what he wants to do. Like, I connect with that because that's really like where I've gone on my little, life journey here. So I really appreciate that from Ben. So, I am rooting for him, but I don't really know what to take from him because he's also one of the smallest guys out there. He's on a really small tribe. He is going to be a different kind of guy. I mean, we just saw Sifu air guitaring all last season, and Ben loves to play guitar. So maybe he's going to be like Sifu-esque, and Sifu never had a chance in hell of winning.
And Sifu had no game.
Could never win Survivor.
Yeah, he had no game.
So I'm rooting for Ben. I like Ben. I like his story. It's the one I connect with the most, but that doesn't necessarily mean I think he's going to win.
All right.
Moving on. Jem. This is Jamila Jem Hussein Adams, and she just goes by Jem. 32 from Guyana. Now lives in Chicago, Illinois, as an international brand mentor. 3 of her favorite hobbies are binging TV, working out, driving. 3 adjectives: motivated, resilient, and hilarious. The funniest part about that is that she's the 19th person to say resilient. How would your friends describe you? They would say, I'm outgoing, direct, and a fun time. What risks have you taken? She's a risk taker. Let's just say if it's not risky, I'm not interested. For one, I moved to the U.S. with a suitcase full of clothes and no money. I bungee jumped, climbed coconut trees, camped in a freezing desert, traveled alone. What is the accomplishment you're most proud of? I'm super proud of a lot of things. Surviving in the U.S. is probably my biggest accomplishment after I moved here. I had no one to lean on, and I wanted to give up multiple times and go back to Guyana. However, I stuck it out. What would you never know by looking at her? That I'm from South America and not Indian, with a winky face. Wow. I like that. What past Survivor would you say you'd play the game most like? Boston Rob, Tony Vlachos, and Kelly Wentworth. That's an interesting trio right there. What are you thinking with I do like this self-awareness too, because like when people are asking how do we get cast on this and what do you do with all that stuff, people always want casting tips. To do that winky face with that I'm from South America and not Indian, I feel like that's something that casting is going to love right now, and like that type of answer is definitely something that they're going to be drawn to.
That's snarky. That's snarky and it's self-aware and it's good.
And it's also aware of the process of like, oh, you're looking for more diverse people. Don't think you're putting me on the show because I'm Indian. You know what I mean? Like I like that attitude. I think that's a cool approach. She has no college education. That is actually unique in this new era of Survivor.
Oh, very unique. Everyone's usually most people are the first one in their family to have graduated. It feels like we get that a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I do really appreciate that she really is she is a non-college educated person who has overcome, because it feels like Survivor's definition of overcoming adversity is, well, I got a college education, but what did you do with that college education? Seems like with Jem, she's really excelled despite that. So
Yeah, and she's an international brand mentor.
mhm.
Mentors. We have mentors, 2 coaches, and a teacher so far. I mean, this whole
This
tribe,
is the healer tribe.
this is 4 for 4. I wonder if this is intentional. It must be. This is a tribe of people that help other people.
Wait until we get to Charlie. Anyway, he's next. Trevor the therapist says, are there any women who really play like Tony Vlachos, or who could even play like Tony Vlachos? What do you think about that?
From a gameplay standpoint, yes, I think you can. It's just kind of you're playing aggressively, you're flipping back and forth, you're keeping it chaotic so that people don't land on you. I think that can happen. I think Tony as a character is like, I don't know what a female version of that looks like. I'm not saying it's not possible. I just don't think we've seen anything come close to it yet.
So what's your takeaway from Jem? I've kind of given my thoughts on her. What do you got?
I think Jem, I don't know. I feel like we don't get a lot here, Phil. That's kind of my read. I mean, I get that she's from Guyana. She's resilient. I just wish I knew more about this job. International brand mentor. Like, what is that?
I don't know.
Mentors brands. She's clearly another one of these people that's very outgoing. And who can you go back a slide? Who's the other one on the slide that? Yes. Maria is also very outgoing. So I think they could click because they're both, like, it seems like, just very outgoing, risk-taking, aggressive, more not even aggressive about it, but they're just very out. They put themselves out there, and I could see a relationship blooming and an alliance going there.
Here's Jem's hot take. If you have an idol, play it even if it's wrong. And then she also, in the Mike Bloom thing, says that she'll never play an idol on another player.
I like those takes. That's what I like.
I always say that with the idol, man. Like, if you have the idol, just play it in the new school.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to rehide it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, if you know for sure you're not going home, but then, of course, how do you ever know for sure?
Mm-hmm. Aubrey knew for sure. How'd that go? JT knew for sure. How'd that go?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, play it. Maybe just play it. Yeah.
I like Jem. I think Jem's got a lot of potential. I do. I think she's got a lot of potential.
I think it's good. I think Jem and Maria being on the same tribe is I think they're going to click. Or maybe they're both too outgoing and they fight. I mean, I don't know. See that happening too.
Let's go to this next one. Charlie and Mariah.
We have Maria and Mariah on the same tribe. Really?
They couldn't have split those up, huh? My poor father, who's going to be trying to watch this and not going to remember their names anyway. So we'll start with Charlie. He's 26, Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts. Don't watch the movie if you don't want to be depressed. Current residence is Boston. He's a law student. 3 of his favorite hobbies: running, serious competitive running, debating, and board games. 3 adjectives: loyal, funny, plus fun-loving, and competitive. So that's 4. How would your friends describe you? Funny, goofy, intelligent, charismatic, charming, strategic, competitive, weird. Definitely a nerd. Has his moments, though. What is the accomplishment you're so proud of? Being elected varsity cross country captain twice. I was a walk-on, and in college, I injured my sacrum, right femur, left femur, and right tibia by running, but I used my other skills to turn the team into one of the best teams in the NCAA. By the way, he went to Harvard, for anybody who's wondering. What is something we never know? By looking at you, never be able to tell how hard I fight for the people I love. Who does he want to play like? Spencer and Christian. That should just make Will joyous with glee over there. His video was all about the different Taylor Swift eras he was going to be playing in. He really went in on the fact that, like, he's going to be in his different era depending on what the mood of the game is. Let me throw up his hot take because I have it here. Anyway, he likes new era advantages and twists.
Hey, they're not all bad. I don't mind that hot take. I mean, some of them have been putrid, but they're not all bad.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm always a big fan of a runner on Survivor. So Charlie's got
I know you're a cross country guy. Yeah, so Charlie is our nerd archetype, but he doesn't wear glasses, and he's an athlete. So is he? But cross country is always, that's not like the jock
Okay,
sport.
can I say this as kind? I mean this kind because Eric Reichenbach kind of fits into it too. He's like
Oh,
not so
you're
much.
about to say something mean.
Well, he's
You
kind
can
of like
preface it with that.
he's more of like a dork than a nerd. Does that make sense? Where it's like he's like got his quirks and he's got those weird things about him and he's smart, but he's more of like he's more weird than nerdy. And I think that kind of fits more into like that dork archetype because I feel like I don't know. I just feel like that's where that goes. But I feel like nerd, this is not the type of player that they're putting on this show to be a nerd. They're putting him
Right,
on
but
because
are
he's
we
weird.
gonna? Do we have anyone else this season that is a nerd or no? I mean, this could be it.
This
You get
could be
one.
it, which
You
is
get
crazy.
one nerd a season usually, and actually in the new era, it feels like
You
you
get
get
like
4 or
12.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, or people that say I used to be a nerd. That's what you get.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe
Um,
Charlie is that, but Eric Reichenbach was similar, even though he wasn't like the Ivy League kind of guy. But it was like, look at me, I'm just so like nerdy, but not really a nerd.
yeah. I don't know on Charlie. I mean, I wonder what he's gonna say he does, or like if he like is he gonna tell people he went to Harvard? I doubt it.
No, and he said he
Um,
doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to tell people about his law aspirations.
Again, the lawyers, man, they really trying to cover
Mhm.
it up from the get go. I feel like if you're a law student, that's a little bit that's different than being a lawyer. It's like, oh, I'm a
Mhm.
law student. It's like a little softer. And again, I don't think anyone. It doesn't really matter once you're actually out there. I could see, yeah, I could see Charlie working out, being like, it feels like he's a game player. Like he is going to game this.
Mhm.
He likes the new era advantages. So like he will go on the journeys. He will risk his vote. He will do those things. He wants to play hard. Obviously, he's probably determined, even if he didn't tell us.
He didn't tell us,
And
unfortunately, so I don't know.
yeah, we don't. Yeah. I'm like okay on Charlie. I don't have any really strong opinions here, Phil.
I don't really have a strong opinion on him either. I think he's going to go. It's going to depend. Also, like this is a cast that seems like it's actually a little bit older. So like 30s more than anything. So I don't know, Charlie. Like how is a Harvard student
It
gonna
does
go?
feel like a lot of 30s, but he's 26, so he's not too far off.
But it seems
For
like
me,
he's still very much college. Like even though he's grad school, he's still like college.
yeah, and that's pretty quick for grad school. Like, I have a lot of friends that are in grad school now, or like just
Yeah.
finished, and it's like you literally you go into the real world for a little bit, and then you come back to grad school once you've kind of figured out what it is you really want to do and pursue. And this feels like if he's 26, you graduated at 22, so you went right to law school. But then again, the whole lawyer thing's a little different because if you know you want to be a lawyer, then you got to go to law school. So, not that I'm holding that against him. I just feel like um, he's probably he's only ever been in college. That's definitely true. Like he hasn't been out in the real world. So
Yeah. All right. Let's go over to Mariah. She's 28, from Boca Raton, now lives in San Diego. Occupation is program director. 3 favorite hobbies: beer brewing, surfing, and Dungeons and Dragons. Adjectives: driven, quirky, and sentimental. How would your friends describe you? As a go-getter, even if it's not always apparent. I'm always the person to organize the trip, plan the party, or really make an event happen. My catchphrase is basically, so I went ahead and made a G sheet for this. At the same time, they describe me as very personable and fiercely loyal. What risks have you taken? One of the largest risks she took was moving to California. When she moved there, she had a trunk full of clothes, a studio apartment, and a part-time job. Had no idea if her relationship would succeed, if she would find meaningful employment, or if she'd make friends. But I knew I had hit an end in Wisconsin, and there was nothing left for me there. So I don't know how she went from Boca to Wisconsin. Those are not two places close together. What accomplishment is she most proud of? Completing her marathon her freshman year of college. She started running it. 6 days of running for 4 months straight in New York City is no joke. I felt like I spent my salary that year on energy gels and socks. What is this something nobody would ever know from looking at you? You would never know how much I second guess myself. And she wants to play like Nick Wilson. Her hot take is Last Gasp is a bad challenge. I also didn't say Tim's. Tim's was Survivor is not a game, which we can talk about later. But hers is
whoa, wait a
Last Gasp
second.
is not a challenge. I don't want to take the moment away from Mariah. We can talk
I
about it
know.
after we finish Mariah.
No,
Sorry.
I'm actually liking this from Mariah. I'm getting good things here. Um, Also, you didn't read this part of it. I'm not just proud of the product of completing the marathon, but the grit and determination it took to get
Determination.
there. Yeah.
Determined.
Okay, yeah, I actually get some good things, and I don't know. It feels like she's a very pleasant person. A marathon is no joke. Hey, we got a couple of runners on this tribe. We also get again a program coordinator. Does she tell us what type of program?
Jobs are random now, man. It's not as clear cut as it was in
Yeah,
2000 when they
it's
started
not
this
like,
show.
yeah, you're a fireman, a doctor, or
Yeah.
a dentist, or a lawyer.
Yeah.
A program coordinator feels to me like she's in a sort of teacher, mentor, coach role, though. So I fear for Charlie here because these guys are all going to connect on some level that he's just not. I mean, at least
I
on
don't
first
know though,
glance.
because if she likes running and her and Ben are both comparing
Well, yes,
themselves to Nick Wilson, and then she loves games and like being a
she
nerd,
likes
and so
Dungeons and
does him.
Dragons, and Charlie does like board games. He said so. Yeah, that's true.
There could be actually quite a bit there.
Is this a showmance? Maybe
Are we going to get a
we, we
showmance between Charlie and Mariah? I
are
don't
we
know.
calling this now? They're gonna play. They're gonna do Dungeons and
Somebody
Dragons
play the clip. Charlie and Mariah are
on.
going to do it.
Yeah, they're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons on the island, and they'll have to argue over who's dungeon master, and they'll try to convince Ben to play, and I'm sure he will. Who else is on? Tim. Tim will just say Dungeons and Dragons isn't a game. That's what he's gonna say. Because I don't think actually I would be with Tim there. I don't think it is. I think it's more of a role
It's a
playing
journey.
exercise.
It's an
Yeah,
exercise. There you go.
I don't love D&D just because I'm in the games for different reasons. Like I like the rules and strategy and gameplay, whereas Dungeons and Dragons, like get into the accent, build out your character. It's much more lore, and sure, it's fun, but I don't know why I'm talking about this. It's not about me. It's about this sweet romantic couple we have here, Charlie and Mariah. So yeah, I get good things here. I think she's gonna be fun. So
yeah, Mariah, I could definitely see being like out of the women we've talked about thus far, she's the one who I probably think has the most winner upside, which means she's probably gonna be the first.
Yeah, she doesn't seem
Yeah.
like she's gonna be too overpowering. It seems like she's kind of like a little bit more laid back, but also like determined enough to like run a marathon. Move from the Midwest to just go to New York without any friends or money. Like that's tough.
But then she went from Boca Raton to the Midwest to there.
Yeah, I mean, how'd she end up in Wisconsin?
How'd you go to Wisconsin from Boca Raton? That's what I want to know, because there's no
And
part. I
why?
mean, I
Did she
used
just
to
go to
work
college
Boca
in
Raton.
Wisconsin? Maybe that's it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let's just look real quick. What is Ben wearing in that?
Overalls.
What is Mariah wearing? There's the connection.
That's a romper or overall
It's a romper, but it's like a romper
combo.
that is like suspendered.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just saying, man, these are the connections you got to be looking for when you're doing a cast assessment.
They have the Florida connection too.
Yeah.
And what are the ages on these three? We have Charlie at 26, Mariah at 28, and then Ben is at 31.
31, and then Tim is also 31. So I just wanted to bring that up too. This is actually a good one to bring up, because
and then what are Jem and
Jem is
Maria?
much younger.
No, isn't she like 32? I thought.
Am I wrong?
I thought she was older. I mean,
maybe. Hang on, I got to get to the picture. It's not easy. She is 32. You're right. And then Maria's 48. So does Maria stick out like the sore thumb on this tribe?
Yeah, I don't think she will stick out as much just because it's like 31, 31, 32, 26, 28. Maybe, I mean, maybe she will stick out, but it's not like she's 50 and they're all in their early 20s. Like no one's in their early 20s on this tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So
she doesn't look 48 either. Like I'm looking at this picture of her right here.
Yeah,
if you said to me she's 48, there's no way I would have believed you.
Mm-hmm. Survivor's not a game. I don't know about that one, Tim. I was so high on Tim, and now I can't disagree more, especially in the new era. It's more of a game now than it ever used to be a social experiment. And
I think he wants it to be the experiment. Maybe that's what he's saying. Maybe he's saying Survivor's an experiment. It's social.
It used to be, but now we're, losing votes and playing
Yeah.
cards and yeah.
All right. So from this tribe, who do you have as your best winner potential and your first boot?
I don't want to agree with you. I mean, I was getting good vibes from Mariah, but I'll stick with Tim. I hope what he's saying about the game, like he wants the social experiment to come back. So I'll go with Tim, and then you can go Mariah. So we don't have the same answer.
Well, who's going to be your boot? First boot.
First boot, I think Charlie. Honestly,
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, no one's jumping out here to me.
Nobody jumps out on this one as a first boot.
Maybe Maria, just because she is like everyone else, is kind of like within 5 years of each other, 6 years of each other, and then you have.
Yeah, but you said Charlie. I already wrote it down. It's scripture.
Well, this isn't any sort of fantasy game here.
Scripture. I do think I will go. Oh man, see, this is tough because I'm almost thinking at this point, is Ben the first boot from this tribe?
I have no spoilers, so I don't know.
Yeah, we should have read them beforehand. I'm not going to go the easy route. I'm going to say, even though I love him, I'm going to say Ben is the first boot, and I'm going to say Mariah is the most winner potential. No, you know what? I'm going Tim. Tim has the most winner potential.
Wait, I picked Tim to not have the same pick as you, and then
you should have picked somebody else. You should have picked Mariah because I went Tim.
All right, I'll go Mariah.
All right, we'll change this pick to Mariah.
It's scripture.
Yeah, now it's done. All right, let's jump over to the final tribe. The final 6 people. Yanu, there they are. That is what they look like.
You knew.
As you can see, yeah, man, I'm telling you, this green tribe is the shortest tribe maybe in Survivor history. Nick Snyder,
it's the
patron,
angle.
probably going wild.
They're shooting at a higher angle for the green tribe. Go back to it.
They're not, dude. Look where their heads are compared to where that wooden.
No, but I'm saying you can tell where the camera is that we're shooting down on them a little bit. This is
their heads are so much higher than that.
Yeah, but that would suggest that they're all like 2 feet taller, and we know that's not the case.
Q, the guy on the left there, literally played wide receiver for Ole Miss. He's got to be over 6 feet tall. I'm pretty sure that everybody on that green tribe is like 5'10" or shorter.
Okay. Go back one more time. It's a different. It
doesn't matter though. Look where his head is. He is not.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a different perspective. I don't know. Yeah,
it's not, man. They're all just taller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into this Yanu tribe. Jelinsky and Tiffany. That is our first picture. Jelinsky.
How did he get his last name already? I don't understand that.
I think
is that a spoiler in itself?
Well, that's like Gabler, right? Gabler went by Gabler and then he won. Yeah, maybe it is a spoiler. He is 22 years old from Vegas. He's a slot machine salesman. His hobbies are sports, basketball and bowling, trivia, puzzles, magic, card games, and organization. 3 adjectives: passionate, confident, and intelligent. How would you describe yourself? His closest friends would say he thinks he knows everything. He's too smart for his own good growing up. He was a hothead and would argue with you until you gave in and told him he was right, but he has matured a lot over the years and understands when he should concede an argument. What risks is he taking? Dropping out for 1 year after high school was a risk that has paid off so far. What is the accomplishment you're most proud of? I would have to say my literature academic achievements are my proudest accomplishments. What is something we would never know from looking at you? There are so many things about me that people would never know at first glance. Growing up, I was a theater kid. I danced professional ballroom for 2 years when I was 8 to 10 years old. And I was offered a ballet scholarship. I'm also a huge Swiftie. The player he would want to play the most like. Here we go. Hold on. I'm going to do them in reverse order. Rick Devens, Tyson, Russell, Sammy, and Fabio. Will, is this your winner pick for the season? Because
I think it has to be. This guy is checking all of my. I know you had someone you could relate to a lot. I forget who that was. That was Ben, right?
Ben, who I also then said would be the first boot from his tribe.
You're right. This is my guy right here in terms of like hobbies and likes, and also he's passionate, confident, and intelligent. I mean, hell yeah, sure. I love the Vegas, the slot machine salesman, all of that. He likes trivia and puzzles. He likes card games. So I'm feeling some camaraderie here with
Do you
my
think
boy
that his
Zelensky.
hot-headedness will start to come out on him though as this game progresses? Do you
It
think
could.
that that's
I
something
could
you
see
can't
that.
hide
And
as a 22-year-old?
a 22-year-old's young, so it's like he was a hothead and would argue with you until you gave it, and then he told me he's right. But then he's matured, but he's only 22, so how much could he have matured? I resonate with this. I feel like I would get into arguments a lot, and I still do. I like to have arguments, and I don't even call them arguments. I will call them like debates or conversations. And some people hate that. I find it to be enjoyable to have just discussions where you disagree and then you have to prove points. I think that's why we have a podcast, Phil, so that we can make our takes and we find enjoyment out of that. And I definitely think when I was younger, and they weren't arguments about Survivor, but even at work or school, like I feel like I would argue too often and get hung up on arguments that didn't matter. And certainly as I've gotten older, I've been like, you know what, whatever. I will concede. Like, who cares? That's fine. I'm not going to say anything. And so, yeah, I there's a lot of things that I feel a connection, man. I feel a connection to Zelensky. So
He thinks Dom should have won Ghost Island.
I mean, that's a hot take, at least. And maybe it's not that. It's a pretty hot take. I mean, for me, it's if you win, you win. The person who wins always deserves to win because that's
So now
the
you
whole
hate
game.
Zelensky.
I just disagree with his take, but we could have a good argument about it. I'm sure.
Yeah. I think Zelensky's going to do really well, and then I think he's going to go early merge. I think he's going to come out hot. I think he's going to play the game well, and then I think his young immaturity, I think he's going to go back to a younger version of himself that he's not going to necessarily be happy with. And you know what? That happens. Like we see that happen all the time with some of these younger people on the show. So that's where I think it's going to end up going with Zelensky.
I love the Fabio shout out.
Of course you do. That's your guy. Like that is Will's guy, everybody. If you don't know that about Will, if you're just coming into this podcast, just tuning in, that is Will's guy. All right, let's jump over to Tiffany. Tiffany. I have to get all the way down to her name. Where is she? She's right here. 33 years old from Franklin Township, now lives in Elizabeth, which has one of the best, or is right next to one of the best Italian hot dog places in the world. I hope you like Italian hot dogs.
I didn't know Italian hot dogs.
Yeah. Italian hot dog is deep fried hot dogs, and then you put potatoes on top of it, salt, pepper, onions and peppers, and it's in a pita bun. It's the greatest thing in the world. So yeah, there's a couple great ones up by Elizabeth.
That sounds more American than I feel like hot dogs are so American.
It's because it was Italian restaurant.
Deep fried it.
It's like what
it's like chicken parm. It's like chicken parm, but a hot dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, you'll see. It's not breaded. It's just literally like put into a fryer. They're delicious.
Oh, it's not breaded.
No, it's not. It's just fried without being put in there. But anyway, artist.
Oh, this is a pretty classic looking hot dog. Gotcha.
Dude,
okay.
It's not classic looking. The hot dog itself is classic.
No, like I'm looking at like it's not as crazy as I thought it would look.
No, any of them that are not showing the pita bun are not doing it right because these are just like regular buns. It's got to be on pita buns. It does. These other buns are bullshit. I'm looking. The first thing you Google, those are bullshit.
Bun. Okay. Oh yeah. It's like a moon shaped.
It's like a moon shape. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be. Anybody who's not doing that and not putting loading that with potatoes.
I've never heard of that. I love hot dogs.
They're so good. You come to New Jersey, I will take you to so many good ones. There are so many
hot dogs are, I mean, and even LA, man. LA has like their classic style of hot dog with bacon,
they don't do it like
onions, peppers. Like that to me is one of LA's most underrated food items.
Yeah,
is the bacon hot
dog. Street dogs, man. You leave a concert in LA and you get the street dogs. Those are so good,
dude. They hit it so hard.
Yeah, but Dewey's Dogs in New Jersey. That's the one I wanted to shout out there. If you want to actually look up what an Italian hot dog really looks like, do Dewey's Dogs in New Jersey and type in Italian.
We've gotten very off track here.
Well, you know what, Will? It's 12:22 a.m. here on the East Coast, so yeah, I'm feeling it. All right. 3 of her favorite hobbies: painting, photography. Does eating out count as a hobby? Man, I could not agree more with that, Tiffany. 3 adjectives: curious, passionate, and artistic. How would your friends describe you? Friends always tell her that she lives in a land of rainbows and unicorns, which pretty much means she lacks situational awareness sometimes and sees things from a rose-colored lens, even when she shouldn't. She disagrees, though. She's a habitual procrastinator who friends her know her say that she's deeply dedicated to and passionate about the things and people she loves. She has absolutely no filter. This sometimes gets her into trouble, and she's usually the life of the party. Accomplishments she's so proud of. She was laid off her job of 6 years at the top of 2020 instead of scrambling to find another job that I likely wouldn't have been happy with. I had the courage to follow my gut and pursue being a full-time artist instead. So far, things have been working out even better than I expected. Something we would never know by looking at you. She loves playing the lottery. She actually is afraid if there's an opportunity to gamble or take a big chance in Survivor, she's the player that won't be able to resist. And she says she's most like Jeremy and Shan. Her hot take is people should stop telling others about their idols and advantages, which I don't think is really a hot take. But Tiffany's got a lot here. Eating out, does that count as a hobby? My wife gets mad because every time I'm like, I want to go to a restaurant. She's like, I bought food. I'm like, I don't care. I want to go out to a restaurant. So I agree with Tiffany on this one. But Will, what do you got?
I am getting almost as much vibes I got from Jelinski. Like Tiffany is putting a lot out here that I agree and resonate with a lot. So, I mean, yes, the eating out thing, I love eating out, and I love going to a restaurant, like having a waiter and sitting down and like not going to the counter. Like I like when people come and take your order and you're relaxing. And I mean, that's one of I don't know if it's a hobby, but trying as many restaurants as possible. Totally love that. We have that she was laid off and now she's pursuing her own passion in artistry and being an artist. I love that. She's got this kind of rainbows and unicorns vibe, and then she disagrees with that. I thought that was really funny. So she loves to gamble. Phil, you know me, man. I love to gamble.
Go check out the Phil and Will show. We love gambling.
Yeah. So
Williams says, man, let her gamble the million away. She also her video was very funny and stood out to me and had some really good moments. At the beginning, she says, I'm not gonna be able to wipe my ass for 26 days. I'm gonna struggle. I thought that was really funny. And then she says, as an artist, you're always selling yourself. And she really had a good quote on that. If you want to listen to that, I thought that was a really, really good, powerful quote. And like Tiffany's kind of like the female version of Ben that I'm getting from this season, where I can really connect a lot with what Tiffany is saying here. About like just like random things that happened and kind of making those decisions of, do I want to keep doing something that's not making me happy, or do I want to take on the challenge and see what I can do with this? I really like Tiffany. I wonder if the lack of situational awareness will end up biting her in the ass eventually. However, I don't know. We'll see. I like her.
Yeah,
I think she's got a lot of upside.
I don't know if she's like someone and either of these players, really both the players on the screen, I'm looking at, hey, they are going to win this game, but they're definitely two players that I'm going to be rooting for, and I feel like I'm going to really enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm big on the Purple Tribe. Moving on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Purple Tribe is great. It keeps getting better. The Purple Tribe might be the best one.
This is
they're going to be the first four
boots. This is the best tribe so far. I can already say this is definitely my favorite tribe.
Kenzie is already becoming the fan favorite, without a doubt becoming the fan favorite. If you go and follow like anything on social media and stuff, Kenzie's the one who's really blowing up. Kendra was obviously very popular last season, and now Kenzie is kind of like Kendra on steroids. She is a bundle of energy, and she had some great one-liners. But let's talk about Q first. Q was the player. He played football at Ole Miss. So you're talking a Division I SEC football player. He's 29 years old. He is one of 17 children. 17. From Senatobia, Mississippi. Currently lives in Memphis, Tennessee. He's a real estate agent. 3 favorite hobbies: fishing, riding 4-wheelers and jet skis, and building houses. He is brave, polite, and proud. His friends would describe him as crazy risk-taking. They would probably add that he's the luckiest person they know. Most importantly, they would describe him as someone they can count on. What risks has he taken? He started taking risks early in life, being one of 17. You have to take risks. Biggest risk that changed my life for the better would have been quitting my job to start a career in real estate. Accomplishment he's most proud of: being the first person in my entire family to graduate college. So that's the first person we're having say that. Something we would never know by looking at him. He can eat 2 boxes of pizza in one sitting by himself. He can swim. That one, I don't know why I wouldn't know that by looking at him. He looks like he's got the physique of a swimmer, and he's a joy to be around. At least that's what people tell him. What past Survivor player would you play the game most like?
He'd be a joy to be around.
No, I know. He's literally telling me, like, I don't like him. And then he says he's bits and pieces of a lot of players. And he says Yam Yam didn't deserve to win. That's his hot take. Well,
so he can agree with who said Carolyn should have won.
That was Randon, all the way back as the first person we talked about. Now we're
okay. So Randon and Q, and there's a tribe swap. They can talk about Survivor 44 and come to an agreement there. I think.
There you go. I like it. I like where your head's at.
Yeah, this is another guy here which I really like, and I don't see. But as much as I like this tribe, I don't know if I'm seeing the winner. This seems like it's going to be the fun, goofy tribe that we want to root for, but he seems like a big risk taker, and like he says that multiple times, and I think that's like, is he gonna risk it all? Like, and again, we have his tribe. We have someone who's a gambler on his tribe. We have someone who likes games. I don't know. It feels like this tribe is playing it risky. Is what I'm getting.
Yeah. Q is a tough one for me because Q seems like he's a massive threat. Real estate agent who's successful. That's really good social. Very physical, obviously. Really good looking guy with a nice little charming smile there. He scares the shit out of me if I'm one of the other players on this tribe. He does. He scares the daylights out of me. So, like,
yeah,
I think
he's a big physical threat, clearly. I mean, he might be the best, but it could be good for this purple tribe. Like, you have someone like that. This could be the tribe that doesn't go to tribal, and we don't see a lot of them pre-merge, and they hang around, and then when they get to the merge, they have no game in them because they haven't been to tribal council.
They feel like the blue tribe from season 43 with Carla.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, that's what they feel like. That. I beat you to it because I'm sitting
Except they did go to tribal twice, that tribe. Mm-hmm. Every tribe went to tribal twice in that season.
Yeah, but they were the one that seemed like the most dominant early on.
Or maybe no, Baca, only the yellow tribe only went once because there's only 5 tribals.
Yeah, because then Ellie went right at the beginning of they all went pre-merge. There was 2 pre-merge. Yeah, Q I don't see winning, but Q I think is going to be a huge asset to his tribe.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have on that front.
I think so too.
I don't think he has any winning potential though.
Yeah, I think he's too big of a threat. I mean, no one's going to want to have that guy be around endgame. Yeah, I see that.
All right, here's Kenzie. Let's jump over to her. 29 from Gibraltar, Michigan. Charlotte, North Carolina is her current resident. She's a salon owner. Favorite hobbies: jigsaw puzzles, fantasy romance novels, playing cards. Three adjectives: positive, creative, and perseverant.
Perseverant. Yes.
Yeah, I had to think about that to make sure that didn't sound real coming out of my mouth. How would your friends describe you? I asked one of them, and this is what they said: resilient,
perseverant,
self-sufficient, adventurous. You know what you want, and you make it happen. Smiley face. Forgiving, caring, reliable, fun, smart. You're inspiring. You build people up. You asked the right friend. I'll say that. You did a good job there. I wouldn't ask Will to describe me if I was doing this. What risks have you taken? Opening my salon was a giant risk. I have no business degree. I had no idea what a business plan even was, but a spot opened up and I hopped right on up to take over a lease. I didn't have a fallback plan. 2 months after our first anniversary of being open, COVID shut us down for the quarantine. What are you most proud of? Proud of continuing to run the happiest work environment in the world. Sure, surviving the pandemic as a small business when so many didn't make it is big, but maintaining cooperative, excited, successful place full of artists is an incredible accomplishment. The big things are big, but it's day to day. I'm most proud of. What is something no you wouldn't know from looking at you? She's a savage in Catan. And
oh my God, this is the board game tribe.
This is the board game tribe. So this is the
no. The board game tribe was that was Charlie and Mariah. We're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons.
So we got too excited.
I feel like that's the Dungeons and Dragons tribe, and this is more of the board game tribe. Because who else here? Didn't someone say? I think yes. Jelinski likes cards, and
Jelinski likes cards. Yeah,
and then again, and he was the gambler too.
Yeah.
Well, he works with slot machines.
Tiffany's the gambler.
Tiffany's the gambler, but he's born and raised in casinos in Vegas. He said so. There's got to be a little bit of that in him.
Players she'd want to play like is Marianne, and her hot take is she likes the wokeness. So this is Kenzie. Kenzie. Will, what is your take on Kenzie?
I like Kenzie. I think out of all the 1-minute videos, I think hers was by far the best and the most engaging. And
Not even close.
I got her right away. It felt like I knew who she was. I learned a lot about her in like a very short period of time. In most of these videos, and not that it's anyone's fault. I mean, can't say it enough times. It's a minute-long video. So if you didn't come across or get enough information out, not on you, no fault there. But the amount I felt like I instantly knew who Kenzie was, that's impressive to do in a minute. I feel like I get her. So she seems like a lot of fun. I'd love to play
Parv and
Catan
Marianne had a baby. If Parv and Marianne had a baby, that's her. And she was either going to do hair. She wanted to do hair or marry a rich dying man. Those were her big quotes from that video. I mean, it's incredible.
And now she's doing hair.
Yeah.
So good for her.
And she said she's her own rich man. Yeah, I'd love to play Catan with Kenzie. That'd be great.
Kenzie, yeah, we should after the season, we should do like an online Catan game with Kenzie. And then she'll come on and do a tell-all or something.
There you go. Like that. That sounds good. And if you haven't listened to our tell-all with Bruce, we had a Survivor 45 tell-all for the first time since season 41. We were finally able to get one on the books, and it was with Bruce, and it was a lot of fun. So go check that out. Colin Van Blaricum just started the podcast, and oh, wow, I didn't recognize Will at all originally. Will, you have aged, says Colin Van Blaricum.
Of course, yeah. You got glasses now. You got some facial hair.
You don't look like a 12-year-old boy anymore when you
podcast. I looked like I was like a baby when we first started doing this. So
Kenzie, okay, so here's the thing. Kenzie, probably the most fun casting choice there is on this season. Does not necessarily mean she's going to go far. She's tough, but she's going to be great TV while she is there.
I'm half expecting the last two people on this Purple Tribe to just be like total duds, because the first four, I like all four of these players so far in the Purple Tribe like so much, and it is crazy how far ahead they are, for me at least, in terms of the preseason stuff.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump over to the final two. The last two people from this season, Banu and Jess. Banu is the first boot of this season without a doubt, 100%, because his hot take is that he likes Jeff's podcast and he didn't mention ours. So Banu's done. Like, that's it. That's all we need to talk about with Banu. We'll move over to Jess. That sounds good to me. Will, you good with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, but I actually will read Banu because I don't take it personally. 41 years old, from India, currently lives in Acton, Massachusetts, is an IT quality analyst, likes dancing, swimming, and yoga. 3 words: are energetic, disciplined, and passionate. We haven't heard that one yet. How would your friends describe you? They've often called him adaptable and independent because he's lived alone in many different cities. They also tell me I'm emotional, both in how I express myself, but also because of my great ability to listen and support my friends with what they're going through. I'm always there for my friends. What's he most proud of? Becoming a citizen of the U.S. What is something we wouldn't know by looking at him? He's very good at making first-time impressions. Combined with his expressive social media presence, people often mistake him for an extrovert. However, he's an introvert at heart, and he wants to play like Cochran. I already said what his hot take is. Will, in his video, he talks a lot about his husband. And where was it? Banu. He wants to give a big hug to Jeff. Kageyama was his first season. His husband's the one who's actually a massive super fan, and he talks about wanting to play like Spencer. Will, what do you got on him?
I'm not getting a whole lot from Banu. Maybe my prediction was right that, there's the Purple Tribe so hot that couldn't keep it going here. And not that anything against Banu. I just am not getting anything, really. I mean, it's cool that he worked hard to become a citizen of the United States. That doesn't tell me about who he is as a person. His hobbies, dancing, swimming, and yoga, again, it's like pretty, I don't know, not that specific. And then this is a little red flaggy to me here. I'm very good at making first-time impressions. So usually, and not always, but if you're really good at first impressions, like sometimes the more I get to know you, the worse it gets. Like our interaction is so good at first, it goes downhill from there. And I feel like it's almost better to not be good at first impressions. And then over time, now it's, tough on a 6-person tribe if you lose the first challenge, but over time, you make a better impression.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Go.
Okay. As somebody who makes terrible first impressions, I'm not surprised you said that, Will. I'm really not. But as somebody who does make good first impressions and knows how to maintain that because I'm a likable person, I agree with Banu. You don't get worse, Will. You just get better because you start so low. That's really
I
all
try
it
to
is.
start low. That's
Yeah,
part
you
of the deal.
and you do
start
a hell of
low.
a job at it. If you ever meet
Yeah.
Will, anybody listening, you're gonna be like, holy shit, this guy really does start low.
Yeah, I think I've worked on it. I'm trying to, up my first impression game, but I do think it's something where, I think Jesse did a really good job at this. Watching 43, it was very clear that he was kind of shy and that he doesn't share his full story right away. And the edit took very good care of telling his story when we go to the beach and there's 5 of them and they all go around, say their names and what they do. And Jesse is completely omitted from the scene, but he is standing there. He doesn't speak, but you can see him there. And then about 20 to 30 minutes later in the episode, he goes, I don't always come out strong at first. I don't always tell people my story. I have to open up a bit. It takes me time. And so, yeah, I'm going to put myself more in the Jesse camp of things. I'm going to put myself up there with him. So,
yeah, I think Banu's got some potential, though. I think Banu's got one of the more interesting stories, and I think he tells it very well. 41 years old does not look 41 years old, but also,
not at
like, I
all.
think that's why he's better at telling his story at this point, is just because he's told it so many times and he's really lived it. So I'm into the Banu casting choice, even if he likes Jeff's podcast, which honestly, like, Jeff's podcast is fine. Jess, the final person from season 46. Give us a round of applause for getting to that person in under 2 hours, even though this podcast will now be over 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to say this. Well, the clothes she is wearing in that, I think she made herself. So I just wanted to throw that out there. 37 years old. Her hometown is Hong Kong and Toronto. She currently lives in San Francisco. She's a software engineer. She sews her own clothes. So she's wearing her own sewed clothes. She bikes around San Francisco with her husband, binge watching 80% of a TV show, panic about where the time has gone, and then reading recaps of the remaining 20% of the show online. I don't do this with Survivor, though. I like that. Adjectives.
That's a red flag.
That's funny, though. Silly, animated, compassionate, and persistent.
That's good.
How would your friends describe you? Empathetic, tenacious, smart, and a social butterfly. That's not good for Soda, who is scared of butterflies. What risks have you taken in your life? When she was 24, she quit 2 entry-level jobs in 1 year because she was hungry to learn and earn more. She started her own freelance web design business. By the time she was 29, one of her freelance gigs has turned into an incredible full-time job. Before the pandemic, she made it a priority to go home once or twice a year. In March 2021, she braved a 21-day hotel quarantine to spend time with her family. What accomplishment are you most proud of? She's proud that after she transitioned her career into software engineering, she worked to help others make the transition too. She loves mentoring people who are new to software engineering, especially when they've transitioned later in life.
She should have been on the Green Tribe.
She should have.
You should replace Charlie's spot because he can bring
all those nerds.
Bring some of the board games, and then we have the healers versus the board game tribe.
What is something you would never know from looking at you? She's an identical twin. We wouldn't know that. She played rugby in college, and she can type 140 words per minute. What past Survivor would you play the game like? Ty, Gabby, and Marianne were her choices for that. And let me find her hot take, the final hot take of the evening. Her hot take is, what is her name? Jess. Her hot take is she likes the Medallion of Power. So we got a Fabio Stan, and we got somebody who likes the Medallion of Power. Will,
that's
this
a hot
is the greatest
take.
tribe in Survivor history, according to you. Huh?
Yeah, I could see Jess is here. I could see her being the first boot, or I could see her winning. Like this is one where the variance is so high. There's a lot of things I like, but I do see some red flags also. That 80% of a TV show, then not finishing it, it's like that means you don't finish what you start. And then she says she's persistent. Well, clearly not. Like, clearly, if you can't finish the TV show, you're binging.
She's scared of wasting time, Will. It's a fear she has, clearly, is that she's scared of wasting time. I feel that a lot because that's why I don't watch so many TV shows, because I'm like, that's so much of my life that is going down the drain, and I always feel like guilty. That's the freelance mentality, though. And I know you don't have that mentality like wholeheartedly, but I feel like you have it a little bit where like you can balance that a little bit better than most freelancers. But still, you're the kind of guy who will just like wake up and be like, no, I'm not going to do that because I got to work on a puzzle, or I got to work on this, or I got to work on that. And I think that's a tough balance when you're in that freelance world of like, how do I manage this time?
You feel bad when you're watching TV shows sometimes, but
yeah,
I don't know. For me and you, I feel like we love TV so much that it's like,
well, we podcast it. Now I don't feel guilty. I went and saw Argyle in theaters today. Like, I don't feel bad.
We watch a lot of this stuff and then talk about it. And then even if we don't, it's like, having opinions and hey, it's something we really enjoy. So I don't really ever feel guilty from watching TV shows. It just feels like like you're gonna start another show. And she even says this here. Like, I binge so many shows, so it's like you not watching that last 20% of the show. Sure, I guess you get to read what happens, and but you're still going to watch more TV. You're watching the next show, so you should just finish the show you're watching, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't be guilty, Jess. It seems like she's also a go-getter, maybe a little bit riskier. She kind of fits into that. Like, if you are a freelancer, you are a little bit more of a risk taker. It's just kind of how it goes. You got to bet on yourself, and you don't know where that next paycheck's coming. Now it looks like she parlayed that into a full-time gig. So good for her there. And yeah, I mean, social. I could see her being really social, likable, strategic, super intelligent, like running the game. Or I could see her not following through, or I don't know. Does she fit in on this tribe? That's kind of my thing. It's like, she is a little bit older, even though she doesn't look it. How old is she? What was
37?
It does feel like we have I don't know. I guess Banu and her are kind of the same age, but then everyone else feels like they're going to click up real nice. I don't know.
I get that. I really do. I really do understand what you're saying there. I like Jess, though. I agree with you, though.
I do too.
Everybody on this tribe, highest ceiling, lowest floor. She's got the biggest delta for sure.
Yeah.
She's got the biggest delta for sure. So that definitely makes sense there. I see that. So that is the entire cast. So let's take a look at this real quick.
Should we do the photo? The purple
Yeah,
photo?
I'm going to go back to it. Hold on. I want to show do you guys see that? That's the Italian hot dog, by the way. I just wanted to make sure everybody saw the Italian hot dog before we
there's potatoes in there.
There's huge fried potatoes in there, yeah.
Man, I'm hungry.
Fried potatoes, fried hot dog. You got onions, peppers in that giant pita roll. It's a gift from God. Anyway, we're moving on from that. Let's go back to this first slide here. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, it's tough to send any of these people home. I would say Banu is like my least favorite, but I don't think they would vote him out because he does seem like a pretty strong, fit dude. It's just like, I mean, it does happen, but it's less likely. So unfortunately, I got to go Jess, honestly. If I'm looking at first boot material, she jumps out. I could also see a world where Q is the first boot, and this is like a disaster tribe, and they vote out their strongest, most athletic guy, but he was like playing too hard or looking for idols, something like that. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, when I look at this tribe, I think the most fascinating part is I don't think they don't look like a tribe that's going to lose to the other two.
Yeah, that's true too.
Second, but they don't look like a tribe that's going to finish third. And that's where I struggle with this tribe, because are we going to see one of those challenges where the bottom two teams both lose? I think that's really the only way they go to tribal. And then if we hit a tribe swap, what's going to happen with everybody here? If you're just looking at the people, to me, Kenzie looks like the first boot. But when I look at the tribe as a whole, I don't necessarily think that any of them are really going to be.
I don't want this tribe to lose. I can tell you that right now.
I don't either. I can tell you that too.
I really like this tribe.
And so you have Jess. I do agree with you, though. If there's going to be a crazy first boot, it would be whatever. I mean, I'll probably go with Kenzie, even though so Alexa, obviously me and her, when we were doing this podcast for the last 6 years, it was always like, here's like relationship updates, status, all of that. And Alexa said, wow, Kenzie would be the girl you would let ruin your life. So, hey, Kenzie, this isn't personal, but I think it would be her if this tribe loses. I just don't necessarily think that they're going to lose. This is a strong tribe, and maybe it is going to be like a Banu, or maybe Jelinski plays too hard. Maybe this is one where the women kind of take over.
No, Jelinski's in a good spot here.
Yeah, is that who's got the most upside winner potential?
It's not. I'm going to go Tiffany.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I have the same person as who I think could be the first boot, but also has the most winner potential out of the tribe?
I think that's fine. I think that's okay.
I'm going to go Kenzie for both.
Yeah, I could see it.
Because I think that out of everybody on this tribe, I think you have a lot of gamers who are going to play really strong. But if I'm looking at any of them, I'm like, maybe Kenzie's the one who could actually win. But I also could see her being the first boot from this tribe. It's got she's got Cassidy vibes to an extent. So we'll see how that ends up going. Well,
Mhm.
because I want to put you on the spot, and this doesn't have to be what you stick with, but now we've done the entire cast. So this does not have to be what you stick with, and it probably won't be. But from this initial reaction, who would you say right now out of those 18 people would you pick as like your winner pick for this season on an initial reaction?
Tim. He's got that red flag though, with the not that saying Survivor isn't a game. It makes me think he isn't going to game that hard. But everything else I see from Tim, I see good things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that my winner pick is probably going to be. I got to look at it. I got to remember who everybody is now. We just went through this entire list, and now I got to remember. I actually think Hunter might be the best choice. I think Hunter knows who he is very much. I think we've seen 3 female winners and 2 male winners in this new era. I'm not saying we're due for a male winner because it's still obviously a little bit of disparity there, but I do feel like, the way this is shaping up, I look at this and I'm like, I'm going to go against type for myself. And I'm going to say Hunter. That's my pick. Initial reaction. Obviously, that's going to change as we get going with all of this.
You're not going New Jersey?
Who was New Jersey again? Tiff.
I guess I'm going New Jersey. I just remember you talking about the hot dogs, and now I'm thinking about hot dogs. I'm hungry.
You can't stop thinking about hot. Now it's 9:48. You probably haven't eaten dinner. You just want hot dogs.
I haven't. No, I just want hot dogs. We've been doing this casting thing for like 2 hours now.
I know. Yeah. I know. And we're just getting started with the Survivor preseason. Will and I are going to talk about what episodes we're going to have coming out next. Generally, we do the boot list, the prop bet, and then we do the fantasy game. I don't know if that's exactly what we're going to do this year, but we have 3 weeks before the premiere. So we will be going out with 3 podcasts at some point. We just have to figure out exactly what they're going to be. So if you want to follow us on social media, at Survivor Specialist on all socials. And then you can see when our stuff is going to be coming out. We try to put it out a little bit early and let you know. Also, Will and I have been doing a whole bunch of stuff. We've covered the Traders. We covered the show, The Trust. We do the Phil and Will show where we talk sports. Yes, The Trust, the game agreed. We do the Phil and Will show where we talk a lot of sports. And we've been doing, John and I have been doing our movie podcast. So we've been doing a whole bunch of stuff.
And the Second Chances 2 thing.
And the Second Chances 2 thing, which is winding down. We have 2 more episodes left
for
of
Kellen.
That.
Got 8 hours
vote
to
for Kellen. Will needs votes in the next 11 hours. That will get Kellen over the top. Voting for that closes tomorrow for the old school pre-40 players. So we've had so much stuff going on. So if you're just joining back into the podcast, go ahead and check all of that stuff out. Think about becoming a patron, patreon.com/thespecialist. We have podcasts coming out left and right. So much content for the patrons. We really wanted to ramp this up and make it worthwhile for everybody who joined. And in addition, you will be able to play in the Power Rankings game and in the fantasy game for a chance to win a buff of some sort. So thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this
video.
podcast.
Like the video and subscribe. We have 7 likes on this video. That's embarrassing. There's like 60 people watching.
Yeah, so go ahead, like the video,
terrible.
subscribe.
Like a 10% like percentage.
We need it. Maybe people just don't like you. Maybe that's what's happening.
That's actually very possible, yeah.
Please like the video, please, please, please. And yeah, that's it. We will see you all in the future when we come back with another episode of our Survivor preseason coverage. So thank you all, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.